Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Doomsday for All. I started the simulation 10 days in advance. Chapter 61. Boom. Accompanied by a muffled sound, Zhuang Yan felt his left hand shake violently. How huge is the impact of the three ferocious corpses? If it weren't for her trait of being defensive, she might have been knocked into the air. That's it. There was a sneer at the corner of her mouth. Roar. The ferocious corpse obviously sensed the taunt of the human woman in front of him, opened their eyes angrily, and let out terrifying roars. Immediately afterwards, no matter what, they started to attack without any cooperation. Brainless fool. Zhuang Yan curled his lips, and when he blocked the violent corpse again, the long knife in his right hand cut off instantly. Puff. Dark red blood splattered. The belly of one of the violent corpses was directly cut open, and all kinds of rotten, dark, and foul-smelling internal organs suddenly slipped to the ground, but the violent corpse didn't care about it, and was even aroused by it. With a ferocious nature, he threw himself at Zhuang Yan even more recklessly. Go away! Zhuang Yan yelled angrily, and with the force of his left arm, he directly knocked the ferocious corpse into the air. She was about to step forward to make up the knife and kill him. The other two ferocious corpses rushed forward again. See here, she could only give up and continue to fight with the other two ferocious corpses. No, although I am confident that I can take down these three monsters, but because the attack power is too low, it will take too long. If this goes on, Zhuang Yan took the time to quickly glance at other places. When she saw one of the ferocious corpses rushing towards the medical soldiers just now, her expression changed suddenly. Compared with the female soldiers who fought with her against the zombies, the medical soldiers were composed of people with almost no combat effectiveness. If they were approached by the MAD-02 zombies, they would be torn to pieces almost instantly. Hateful. Zhuang Yan suddenly felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Because with her ability, there is no way to protect her subordinates. Outside the medical tent, Sister Coco, yes, there seems to be a ferocious corpse coming towards us. The little round-faced female soldier said tremblingly. Don't panic. Son Kiki took a deep breath, forcibly stabilized his emotions, and quickly pulled out the pistol on his lap. You all disperse and run to the back. But, I'm missing Coco, what are you going to do? Xiao Yuan's face froze for a moment, a little reluctant. You can't help me if you stay. Go away, one less death. Son Kiki pushed Xiao Yuan's face impatiently, and said coldly, I am your commander, and I order you to retreat now. Yes. The little round face hesitated for a moment, gritted his teeth, and ran to the rear with a few medical soldiers around him. Crazy corpse. Son Kiki clenched the pistol in his hand and concentrated his mind. After a while, boom, the ferocious corpse easily dodged. Boom, the shot hit, but the violent corpse did not slow down at all. Its blood-red eyes were fixed on Son Kiki, and its distorted face was full of ferocity. Bang, bang, bang. As the ferocious corpse got closer, the fear in Son Kiki's heart could no longer be suppressed. Caw 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 caw. Out of bullets. Are you going to die? Son Kiki trembled all over, feeling full of unwillingness. Before the Doomsday came, she was the top female soldier in the camp, ranking in the top 3 in almost all tests. After the Doomsday came, with the appearance of traits, most of the female soldiers who were originally only mid-level in strength suddenly surpassed her in strength. Because her trait has nothing to do with combat at all, it is completely auxiliary in nature. After that, she bound 2 more traits through the red crystal, but to her despair, they were still auxiliary in nature. And this made her completely reduced to a medical soldier. Front, it has nothing to do with her. Perhaps. Is it okay to just die like this? Roar. The ferocious corpse roared and rushed towards her quickly. Do not. Son Kiki suddenly pulled out the dagger on his leg, and greeted the fierce corpse with a cold expression. Even if I am going to die, I will hold you back. Puff. Her chest was directly scratched by sharp claws, and blood spattered. But at the same time, the dagger pierced the fierce corpse's eyes. Roar. The ferocious corpse screamed in pain. The other claw quickly grabbed Son Kiki's head. Cough cough cough. Son Kiki's mouth was full of blood. After feeling that the strength in her whole body was rapidly disappearing and becoming cold, she closed her eyes and waited quietly for death. It's a pity, it's really useless not to be able to replace this ferocious corpse. Why haven't you died yet? She opened her eyes helplessly, staring blankly at Kwang Mengxi's hand that stayed in midair. Next second, puff, the violent corpse's head exploded immediately. What happened? Will the zombie also self-destruct? Or does it have a bomb in its head, and the knife just stabbed the bomb? Looking at your unrepentant look just now, I thought you were very strong, but you were beaten by one move. A man's voice sounded, with a hint of disrespect in his tone. Immediately afterwards, Sun Kiki felt himself lying in a warm embrace. Wrong, man, this person saved him. Was he the one who killed the violent corpse? She reluctantly turned her head to look at it. Lie down and don't move. Chu Nan put the female soldier on the ground, then stood up, looking at the three ferocious corpses that were besieging a shield woman not far away. With his right hand stretched out, blue light flashed in his eyes. Om! The invisible thought power turned into three big hands, quickly grabbing the three ferocious corpses. Roar! The ferocious corpse struggled and roared angrily, but to no avail. Die! Chu Nan clenched his hands tightly. Puff! 3 balls of dark and foul-smelling flesh burst open, and the scene was extremely appetizing. You, who the hell are you? The female soldier stared blankly, her face full of shock. So strong, too strong, squeezing the 3 ferocious corpses to pieces with just one hand. I am afraid that this kind of power can only be achieved by the golden superpower trait. Don't be too touched. If you really feel sorry, just promise yourself with your body. Chu Nan said with a light smile. Question mark. With your body. Sun Kiki was a little confused when he heard this. Didn't this person see that his chest was grabbed by the fierce corpse? Another hour or two, she's going to turn into a monster. Who is this person? Zhuang Yan was also shocked, but what followed was ecstasy. No matter what, this man is now a reinforcement. After realizing this, she quickly said, Thank you, sir, for your help. After the battle is over, everyone in the camp and I will definitely repay you. After finishing speaking, he bowed deeply. As for asking Chu Nan to deal with the rest of the ferocious corpses, she wasn't so shameless. There are 5 ferocious corpses in total. Chu Nan has already dealt with 4 of them, and she can also deal with the remaining one by herself. Chu Nan just smiled lightly. He casually crushed the ferocious corpse who was fighting a group of female soldiers in the distance. You can't waste time anymore. Several of your female soldiers are infected with the zombie virus. If you don't treat it, they will soon become zombies. After speaking, he turned his head and continued to clean up ordinary zombies. Every time you wave your hand, the invisible telekinetic blade will cut across a large number of zombies and cut off their heads directly. In just 10 seconds, these zombies, which made Zhuang Yan feel extremely troublesome, were all wiped out by Chu Nan. Okay, so amazing, Zhuang Yan muttered to himself. But in the next second, her expression changed, and she quickly ran to Chu Nan, grabbed Chu Nan's hand tightly, and said, You just said that you can be saved if you are infected with the zombie virus. The tone was full of expectation, but it seemed that he was afraid that the other party was just joking, so there was a trace of hesitation. Certainly, Chu Nan patted the back of the opponent's hand and nodded with a smile. My companion has a trait that can expel the zombie virus, but she is not with me, so you have to ask me to bring those infected female soldiers back to my base. It is good. Zhuang Yan is a very decisive person. Not to mention that Chu Nan just rescued her and her subordinates. Even if she didn't make a move, she would be willing to gamble once. Zhuang Yan summoned all the female soldiers, and then found out all the female soldiers infected with the virus, a total of 5 people. One of them has been infected for half an hour, and his mind is already a little blurred. Around, more than 200 female soldiers were looking at Chu Nan with admiration on their faces. Soldiers all worship the strong. If Chu Nan hadn't acted just now, the camp might have lost almost ordinary people. This gentleman, Zhuang Yan, looked a little anxious. But he was also afraid that what he said would make Chu Nan feel unhappy. Come on, my car is outside. Chu Nan naturally understood what Zhuang Yan was thinking, patted Zhuang Yan on the shoulder, and said, A trace of gratitude flashed in Zhuang Yan's eyes. At the same time, my heart is a little complicated. She actually hates men very much, the kind that she hates very much. On weekdays, if a man touches a single hair of hers, her whole body will explode. But, right now, She didn't feel disgusted at all when Chu Nan met her, and she even felt inexplicably relieved because she was patted on the shoulder. Strong, handsome, kind. It's like the main character in a novel. No, no, no. What are you thinking? She shook her head hastily, and followed the female soldier carrying the patient to the outside of the camp. Zhuang Yan. A familiar voice sounded from not far away. Zhuang Yan was stunned for a moment, then looked up in disbelief. Chang Xin. Zhuang Yan did not go with Chu Nan because she had to stay at the camp. Chang Xin also stayed for the first time. Seeing Ji Yu, whom she hadn't seen for a long time, she had so much to say in her heart. Chang Xin, how did you meet this Mr. Chu? After watching Chu Nan leave, Zhuang Yan asked curiously, have you followed him all this time? That's it. Hearing this, Chang Xin smiled wryly and told all of her experiences during this period. I didn't expect you to be trapped in the basement. Zhuang Yan hugged Chang Xin distressingly, and then said with a smile, fortunately, you met Mr. Chu. At this point, she frowned slightly, and added, although those two men are dregs, but don't feel bad about Mr. Chu because of this incident. Although it's the first time we met, I think he is completely different from other men. She was obviously worried that her, Ji Yu, would be uncomfortable. Don't worry, I know the difference between Mr. Chu and other men. Chang Xin opened her mouth, looked at Zhuang Yan who was looking at her with concern, hesitated for a moment, and said. To be honest, she doesn't know what to say to Zhuang Yan now. Could it be a direct showdown? Tell Zhuang Yan that he doesn't want to girls anymore, and even has a crush on a man. Never mind, wait a little longer. Zhuang Yan nodded reassuringly. Zhuang Yan. Chang Xin pondered for a moment, then tentatively asked, if Mr. Chu didn't save those soldiers infected with the virus, what would you do? That can only say that they are unlucky. Zhuang Yan was stunned for a moment, then smiled lightly and said, don't worry, Mr. Chu has saved lives for me and everyone else, even if I fail to get rid of the virus, I will not resent Mr. Chu. Speaking of this, a trace of suspicion flashed in her eyes. She looked Chang Xin up and down, and said, no, I always feel that there is something wrong with you. You feel wrong. Chang Xin turned around awkwardly, and said, you really have changed. Zhuang Yan put his arms around Chang Xin's neck, narrowed his eyes and asked, tell me, have you changed your mind? Could it be that you fell in love with that little girl in the car just now? No, you were not. Is this not good? What are you talking about? Chang Xin's face flushed suddenly, and after noticing the strange eyes around her, she said in shame and indignation. Isn't that little girl? Could it be Mr. Chu? Zhuang Yan was taken aback for a moment, then asked again. Quote. Chang Xin shuddered, resisting the panic in her heart, and snorted softly, I don't care about you anymore, you'll know nonsense every day. After finishing speaking, he went straight to the inside of the camp. Just kidding, don't be angry. Seeing this, Zhuang Yan chuckled and followed. But I realized in my heart that my good friend Ji might really like Chu Nan. But this seems to be normal. After all, even she has developed a lot of affection for Chu Nan, although not to the extent that she likes it, but if Chu Nan wants to go out with her once, she will not mindful, not resisting. As a person who hates men even more than Chang Xin, she has this kind of change, let alone Chang Xin. Around. Seeing this, all the female soldiers couldn't help but look at each other. Unlike Zhuang Yan, Chang Xin, their orientation is quite normal. Although they have never been in a relationship, they all dream of meeting their Prince Charming one day. Now Prince Charming is riding on a 7-color auspicious cloud, but it seems that there are too many rivals in love, right? Even the Ji Yu of his own official seems to have fallen. Don't give up easily. There are few good men, especially in the last days. There are even fewer good men who are handsome, strong, and responsible. Next, let's find out if Mr. Chu is single. If he is single, it is not impossible to kill first and then play. There are many ways to drug and get drunk. Stare. All the female soldiers looked at their comrades around them warily. Girlfriends. Love with sisters. These can all be discarded in front of a good man. The other side. Chu Nan drove the car towards the camp. Sun Kiki glanced at the red-skinned female soldier beside her who had already started talking nonsense, bit her lower lip, and said in a complicated tone, Mr. Chu, do you really have a way to get rid of the zombie virus? Of course, I never do things I'm not sure about. Chu Nan glanced at the rearview mirror and said, I advise you to stop talking and save your energy so that you don't die on the way. The woman's chest was scratched by the fierce corpse and had 3 big gashes. Although the internal organs were not injured, blood was still flowing. Fine, Sun Kiki smiled faintly, and said with a pale face, at least I can't die within an hour. After finishing speaking, she glanced at Lingo, who was sitting in the co-pilot with a cold face the whole time, and asked, is she your sister? That's right. Chu Nan smiled and nodded. I'm not related to Big Brother. I don't know what Ringo was thinking, but this sentence popped up suddenly. Chu Nan glanced at it and found that the little girl had been pursing her mouth and her face was full of displeasure, so she couldn't help crying and laughing. Obviously, after seeing Chu Nan save so many long-legged and beautiful girls this time, and being admired so much by these girls, the little girl's jealousy was overturned. No blood relationship. Sun Kiki was taken aback for a moment, but he didn't think much, just nodded. After that, she didn't speak, but just looked at Chu Nan's face in a daze through the rearview mirror. Why do you keep looking at me? Chu Nan said. I was just thinking, if I were as powerful as you, no, I would be 1/10 as powerful as you. Sun Kiki came back to his senses, and said with a complicated expression. In the last days, the most obvious thing that proves a person's worth is indeed strength. Chu Nan smiled lightly, and then continued, but no strength can't prove that a person is a waste, don't limit yourself too rigidly. After finishing speaking, he glanced at Sun Kiki, who was a little dazed, and secretly opened his eyes of truth. Name: Sun Kiki, Aborigines. Potential: extremely high. Trait: all things grow green, you can slightly speed up the growth of plants. Medical researcher, green, your understanding of medical knowledge has been greatly enhanced. Pharmacist, green, when you make potions, you can slightly increase the output. Relationship: admiration. Mood: I survived, but I was infected with the virus. Does Mr. Chu really get rid of the zombie virus? Is it useless for me to survive? I am such a waste. 2. ? Extremely talented. Chu Nan was stunned for a moment. Why didn't he encounter it in the previous simulation? By the way, maybe Sun Kiki died in the mouth of the zombies before he arrived in time. And also, these 3 traits are obviously strong, okay. Although they have nothing to do with combat, they are definitely top-notch support staff. Compared with those who have green and blue fighting traits, how important is it to be so good? How can they be autistic? No, not right. I took it for granted. Indeed, Sun Kiki's 3 qualities are indeed very powerful in his eyes, but it is not necessarily the same for others, except that the first one is slightly useful when farming, the remaining 2 are completely useless. After all, no one else has the formula for a virus antidote. On weekdays, I don't make potions either. As for farming, it is said to be a little useful, but in fact it is not very useful, because the premise of farming is to have a stable base. The women's camp is obviously not stable. No, Mr. Chu, you don't understand. Sun Kiki laughed at himself and said, the functions of my 3 traits are to slightly speed up the growth of plants, to be faster when studying medicine, and to slightly increase the production of potions. Even if it is logistics, I can't help you much. I can only rely on seniority, not worthy of the name to be a team leader. The first, everything grows, seems to work, but it only slightly speeds up the growth of plants, and the effect is not obvious, while the second and third are completely useless. There was a lot of dissatisfaction in his tone. Sister Coco, don't say that, everyone can see your hard work. Yes, we all think you've done a good job. A few wounded on the side couldn't help but speak. No. Chu Nan smiled lightly, and then under Sun Kiki's suspicious eyes, said, I think your 3 qualities have potential, especially the first one. I think it may even allow you to participate in battle. ? Sun Kiki had a look of disbelief. Participating in battle. This is obviously the characteristic of farming. What else can I do besides growing vegetables? Do not believe. Chu Nan raised his brows slightly. Your first trait is called all things grow, right? A trait can't just look at the effect, but also the name. Everything is not just a plant. Your current trait level is too low, and the Jiao you get will naturally have no effect. Wait until you upgrade this trait to purple, red, or even gold. I suspect that it is very likely that it can be used on monsters, such as instantly aging a zombie. Of course, this is just my guess, but I think you can look forward to it, because I am very confident in my vision. After finishing speaking, he blinked at Sun Kiki, who was a little dazed. Instantly aging a zombie. How is this possible? Sun Kiki's heart was in a mess. Although he didn't believe it, he was inexplicably looking forward to it. As for the trait of making medicine to increase muscle production, I also find it very useful, because I have a medicine formula in my hand and I really need your help. Chu Nan said with a smile. This time, with the malt system, the sale of virus medicine is even more convenient. If Sun Kiki is added, it will definitely make money. Mr. Chu means that you need me. Sun Kiki originally thought that Chu Nan was just comforting her, but when she saw Chu Nan's serious expression, she couldn't help flashing a glimmer of hope in her eyes. She is eager to realize her own value. Yes, I need you, so just lie down and wait for me to cure you. Chu Nan nodded. Sun Kiki responded and looked at the roof of the car silently. The corner of the mouth, I don't know when there was a slight curvature. Chu Nan was in a good mood after gaining an excellent support staff. Although he hasn't recruited Zhuang Yan yet, he believes that as long as he has this idea, Zhuang Yan will definitely agree. The grace of saving lives, saving the female soldiers infected with the virus, coupled with the virus antidote and powerful strength. He could have even felt it just now, if it wasn't for the feeling that it was out of place. Zhuang Yan even wanted to take the initiative to ask for refuge. No danger was encountered. Chu Nan drove back to the camp smoothly. Chu Nan, why are you here? Ji Yuying stepped forward with a smile on her face, and was about to say something, but she saw several slender women in military uniforms lying in the RV. Although these women were pale, they all looked good, although they were not as good as Love Her, but until the Doomsday comes, she is a goddess in the eyes of the public. What's the situation? Ruro, a few of them are infected with the zombie virus. Chu Nan turned to Su Ruro and said. What? Su Ruro was stunned for a moment, then quickly said, okay, I see. After finishing speaking, she quickly walked to a female soldier with the highest degree of infection and raised her hands. Next second, accompanied by the dark green light, the female soldier who was a little irritable due to the virus infection immediately calmed down. Visible to the naked eye, the sickly redness all over his body also began to ease, and his skin color slowly returned to normal. If your physical strength is not enough, don't treat the injury first, just make sure you don't die, and give priority to getting rid of the zombie virus. Chu Nan said. The reason why he said this is because Su Ruruo's prayer is currently only purple, which consumes a lot. It is good. Su Ruro nodded after hearing the words. After confirming that the virus had been completely eradicated, he set his sights on the next female soldier. The green light appeared again. It really can cure the virus. Sun Kiki looked at the comrade beside him who was about to turn into a zombie a second ago, and now he was breathing steadily, and he didn't have any doubts about Chu Nan in his heart. Even because of the suspicion just now, she is still full of guilt. Chu Nan saved her and everyone in the camp. It was really unreasonable for her to be suspicious just now. I didn't lie to you, did I? Seeing this, Chu Nan smiled lightly and said, when it is cured, you can stay and help me make medicine. Sun Kiki nodded vigorously, and after hesitating for a moment, he gritted his teeth and said, Sir, can you also accept other people in the camp? I know, my request may embarrass you, but... Before she finished speaking, she was interrupted by Chu Nan. Okay. Chu Nan smiled and said, if you all come, I'm too happy to be happy, how can I be embarrassed? Thank you, my lord. Sun Kiki was so happy that he even changed his address. The treatment went well. After getting rid of the zombie virus on all the female soldiers, Ji Yuying took Chu Nan aside while the female soldiers were resting. Why did you bring so many women back in one trip? There was a strong smell of vinegar in her tone. It's normal to bring people back. After all, the camp needs to develop and needs all kinds of talents, but, why are they all girls? And they're all pretty girls with a good figure. That is. Su Ruro wiped the sweat off her forehead and said with a pouted mouth. More than that, Lingo next to him said indifferently, do you think that the big brother brought back just a few of them? Question mark question mark. Ji Yuying and Su Ruro were taken aback for a moment, and then said, by the way, I just heard that Sun Kiki said that there are others. How many are there? Several. Lingo glanced at Chu Nan with an innocent face, spread his hands and said, you all underestimate the big brother's ability too much. Although I didn't count them, there are at least 200 of them. Speaking of this, she looked at Ji Yuying and Su Ruro with stiff expressions on the bamboo slips, and continued, besides, they are all girls with good looks and figures, not even one ugly. No, it should be said that there is not even one ordinary one. Quote. Cough cough. Chu Nan said, calmly, you can't blame me, it's a female soldiers' camp, naturally there are only female soldiers, it's not normal to have men. What you said is so reasonable, I can't even refute it. Su Ruro rolled her eyes and said appreciatively. She feels a sense of crisis in her heart now. There are a total of 200 beautiful girls. Don't you want to accept them all? Ji Yuying was suspicious. How is this possible? Chu Nan quickly waved his hands and said, I can't handle so many women. What you said, if you can handle it, do you really plan to do this? Ji Yuying couldn't help covering her forehead. Who knows? Chu Nan smiled lightly. When Ji Yuying and Su Ruro heard the words, they subconsciously rolled their eyes. Inside the women's camp, Zhuang Yan and Chang Xin were also discussing their future path. Why don't you take your soldiers and me to follow Mr. Chu? Chang Xin said tentatively. I want it too. Zhuang Yan spread his hands helplessly. But there are 226 people in the camp, and most of them have no fighting ability. Although it is a bit straightforward to say this, it is indeed a big burden. Mr. Chu has saved us once, I still haven't repaid. How can I make Mr. Chu difficult again? From now until now, she has been thinking about how to get Chu Nan to agree to accept them. But thinking about it, I began to feel a little ashamed. It is her responsibility to protect the lives of female soldiers. How can she throw this responsibility on her savior? How selfish. I think you're just thinking too much. Chang Xin frowned and said, apocalypse is too dangerous. Things like today will definitely happen again in the future. This time, Mr. Chu took action. What about next time? The camp will definitely suffer heavy losses. Speaking of this, she looked at Zhuang Yan with a tangled face, and continued, I think you should beg Mr. Chu with a stern face, for the lives of those female soldiers under your command. What's wrong with being a person who doesn't know what to do? Is your face not as good as the lives of those female soldiers under your command? That's not what I mean. Why should I save face? Zhuang Yan quickly shook his head, pondered for a moment, gritted his teeth and said, okay, just do as you say. When Mr. Chu comes, you can kneel down, or do anything else, it doesn't matter even if you are hated. I risked it all. Rest assured. Chang Xin comforted, when the time comes, I will beg Mr. Chu together with you. I knew you were the best. Zhuang Yan was moved, and then leaned forward. Chang Xin's expression became weird in an instant, and she subconsciously pushed her, Ji away. You really have changed. Zhuang Yan widened his eyes. Zhuang Yan, what time is it now? You don't turn off that kind. Chang Xin said angrily. Tisk tisk, I used to be called Xiao Tiantian, but now I'm talking about Zhuang Yan. Zhuang Yan curled his lips, and said in a tone that had already seen through Chang Xin, you really like Mr. Chu. I do not have. Chang Xin shook her head quickly. Even so, she felt her heart beating fast. Rest assured. Zhuang Yan rolled his eyes and said, I won't put my face down. After all, I'm a little bit moved by someone like Mr. Chu. How should I put it? She still likes Chang Xin now, she is still a lace girl, but she doesn't resist Chu Nan. Women like it, men like it too. Of course, Chu Nan is the only one inside. The others are maggots. VR. Chang Xin was stunned. My heart suddenly became a little complicated. My friend Ji was far more frank than me. She couldn't express her true inner thoughts so easily. Sunere isn't in fashion these days, my sweetheart. Zhuang Yan patted Chang Xin's shoulder meaningfully. Question mark. Chang Xin looked puzzled. Proud. What's the meaning? At this time, a female soldier's excited voice suddenly sounded outside the door. Sir, Mr. Chu is back, he can really cure the zombie virus, Sun Kiki and the others are fine. Real. Zhuang Yan stood up abruptly with a look of surprise. After finishing speaking, she didn't wait for the female soldier to reply, and walked outside quickly. Although she had great confidence in Chunan and believed that Chunan would not lie, but before the matter was over, she was still a little flustered. Now the dust has settled. The stone in my heart was finally let go. Mr. Chu, is this lady the one who saved Miss Coco? There is still a healing effect, the scars on the chest have disappeared, it's amazing. Female hooligan, don't you see that Sister Coco is shy? Don't pull out her clothes. It's all leaking out. Hey, Mr. Chu is the only one here anyway, Miss Coco didn't say anything. You idiot, do you understand what a divine assist is? In the square of the camp, except for the female soldiers in charge of guarding, everyone else gathered around Chunan, chatting and discussing enthusiastically. Everyone says that there are 3 women in one play, and these 200 women are together. Well, I'm actually not as good as you say, Su Ruro said in embarrassment after being praised. Originally, under Ji Yu Ying's bewitching, she wanted to declare her sovereignty, but before she could open her mouth, all kinds of rainbow farts directly overwhelmed her. As the saying goes, if you reach out and don't hit someone with a smiling face, she can't even keep a straight face now. Tat tat tat. At this time, footsteps sounded. When the female soldiers saw that it was their own officials coming, they stepped aside one after another. Mr. Chu, thank you very much for saving them. Zhuang Yan looked at the few female soldiers who were still lying on stretchers, but none of them were in danger of their lives, and said gratefully. After finishing speaking, she gritted her teeth, knelt down on the ground under Chu Nan's somewhat surprised gaze, and said in a serious tone, Mr. Chu, although I know it's very embarrassing for you to say this, but I beg you can lead us to live in the last days. For this, you can ask me to do anything, and they are all very good girls. I don't want them to die again. Please. Her whole body fell on the ground. Although Chu Nan guessed that Zhuang Yan would take refuge in him, he didn't expect that this woman would do something like this. Okay, I'll accept you. He shook his head with a dumbfounded smile and said, I know this is too much, so Mr. Chu, Zhuang Yan originally saw Chu Nan shaking his head, and subconsciously thought he was rejected, but as he spoke, he felt something was wrong, so he raised his head abruptly, with a dazed expression, did I hear wrong? Mr. Chu, you just say, agree? That's right. Chu Nan nodded, then smiled, so you should get up first, or let me help you up. But, seeing that Chu Nan agreed so happily, Zhuang Yan suddenly lost his mind, but he stood up obediently, with a hesitant expression. Mr. Chu, there are more than 200 of us here, and eating and drinking every day is an astronomical amount, and there is no more food and water in the camp, and at most it will last for another week. In terms of food and water, I have here, there is a lot. Chu Nan shrugged. Of course, it's not too much, but it's not possible to guarantee 200 or 300 people to eat for a few months. As soon as this statement came out, the worry in Zhuang Yan's heart finally dissipated, and he also realized that Chu Nan was really willing to accept her and all the female soldiers in the camp. She said excitedly, Thank you Mr. Chu, no, thank you sir. After finishing speaking, he looked around at the female soldiers around him. These female soldiers understood it one after another, and quickly lowered their heads respectfully, with an excited tone, Thank you, my lord. Congratulations, Chu Nan. Seeing this, Su Ruro curled her lips with a slightly sour expression, the harem has expanded so much. Heard the words, Zhuang Yan and all the female soldiers blushed. But miraculously, they all acted as if they hadn't heard, neither acknowledging nor objecting. Is it itchy? Chu Nan glanced at the woman. I'll take care of you at night. Since Ji Yu Ying has already taken it, how can Su Ruro let it go? He is not Lu Shahui. Afraid you won't succeed. Su Ruro is not afraid, but rather provocative. See here, Chu Nan decided to let this woman understand what is meant by, disaster comes from the mouth, at night. If you change to someone else, it is obviously impossible to transfer more than 200 people at once, but if Chu Nan said, he drove directly to lead the way, and more than 200 female soldiers followed behind, heading towards the fire station without any scruples. Direction. And this scene was also seen by many people hiding in the house. They took screenshots one after another, and then discussed frantically in the chat channel. Picture, what happened to me? Is it the Aborigines? Why are there all beautiful long-legged girls? Don't you think the leading car looks familiar? Isn't this the car of Brother Tang Dao? These girls are all the Aboriginal girls who were subdued by Brother Tang Dao. Hiss. I don't know why, but I suddenly want to curse and die. Isn't this considered a cash charge? It's almost like the emperor. 3,000 beauties in the harem. Looking at the clothes these girls are wearing, they seem to be soldiers. When I went out to search for supplies, I saw a barracks being besieged by zombies from a distance. Will Brother Tang Dao save these soldiers? Is it possible, just like completing the task in the online game, getting beans? Envy, jealousy, hate. Ah, these coquettish sluts, let go of my husband and let me come. Is this guy not afraid of death? If he attracts large-scale zombies or mutated zombies, these girls will all die. Stupid. That's right, pretending isn't like this. I want to kill myself, so why drag these girls down? Have to say, sometimes when this person becomes jealous, he loses his mind and spouts shit. But this time they were cursed successfully, because in the next screenshot, just at the intersection not far away, there appeared more than a dozen ferocious corpses and screechers, surrounded by dense crowds of ordinary people. Zombies. Picture it really attracted the attention of the zombies, and it was a mutated zombie that I had never seen before. This idiot wants to die by himself, don't drag us into the water. I hope these mutated zombies can survive after killing all the people. Get out. There are 3 screechers, 10 unseen mutated zombies and hundreds of ordinary zombies. Brother Tang Dao wants to cool off. No way, there are more than 200 people here, and they are also equipped with guns. Most guns don't have silencers, do they dare to use them? Aren't they afraid of attracting more zombies? If there is 1 or 2, this force should be able to solve it, but there are so many, plus the zombies surrounded from all directions, how can we fight with the head? Tisk tisk. I don't believe that this person is still safe and sound. In the chat channel, the vast majority of people were not optimistic about Chu Nan's ability to lead more than 200 female soldiers to break through, and they all ridiculed. Because there are too many zombies in the picture, not to mention the dozen or so mutated zombies, there are even 300 or 400 ordinary zombies. It can be next second. Along with a screenshot of a person, the chat channel suddenly fell silent. Picture I'm stupid. In just a short while, all the zombies were wiped out by Brother Tang Dao. I'm not dreaming, am I? What level of superpower is this person? On the screenshot, the dilapidated streets were now stained black by the blood of zombies. Even thousands of miles away, one could feel a stench that touched the soul just by looking at the pictures. But Chu Nan and his party were unscathed. For the first time, they saw what it means to be strong. This moment, the hearts of countless girls are rippling. My lord, there are large-scale zombies ahead. Chang Xin, who was driving the car, frowned and said. Since Zhuang Yan and others joined Chu Nan's command, she also changed her address just like Zhuang Yan. Oh, Chu Nan in the co-pilot seat raised his head, looked at the group of zombies approaching in the distance, and looked at the female soldiers with nervous faces, and said with a smile, "Don't worry, since I let you come out in a big way, naturally I have the confidence to protect you, so stop first." After finishing speaking, after Chang Xin stopped the car, she opened the door and jumped onto the ground. "Big brother, need my help?" Ringo asked softly. "No need this time, next time I meet someone stronger, I'll let you, Lino." Chu Nan shook his head and smiled lightly. Ringo nodded obediently. Roar. In the distance, after seeing Chu Nan and the troops behind him, 10 ferocious corpses roared and rushed over. They were so fast that they came to Chu Nan from hundreds of meters away almost in the blink of an eye. See here, everyone held their breath and focused, their faces covered with tension. But none of them made a sound, for fear of disturbing Chu Nan. The blade of invisible telekinetic power flashed across in an instant. Fast as lightning, the reaction speed of these ferocious corpses is still very fast. After sensing the danger, they twisted their bodies to avoid it, but puff, black blood splashed, and the invisible blade directly chopped them all into pieces. Visible to the naked eye, 3 red shimmers flashed. Oh, it's shipped. A gleam of joy flashed across Chu Nan's face. Before saving Zhuang Yan, the 5 ferocious corpses also exploded 2 blood-colored crystals, but unfortunately they are all garbage traits and can only be used as experience points. Good, so strong. My lord, this is too handsome, killing 10 ferocious corpses in the blink of an eye. Ah, I was so nervous that I almost peed my pants. I'm fine, but I don't know why I suddenly want to go to the toilet when I see adults so fierce. Quote question mark. Do you have a fever? Hate. The female soldiers stared at Chu Nan's back with bright eyes and started discussing in low voices. Ah, because of it. This is the man. Shut up. Zhuang Yan glared at them angrily. Don't disturb your lord. It's too embarrassing. Even though she herself is a little bit flustered, it's still a bit embarrassing to see her soldiers committing nympho like this. Chu Nan naturally heard the whispering from behind. Although he didn't want to admit it, but being admired by so many girls, he still felt a little smug in his heart. Certainly, he quickly came back to his senses, and continued to manipulate the telekinetic power to strangle the group of zombies. First of all, the 3 screaming corpses in the distance, but these 3 guys must not be called out, otherwise there will be more and more zombies. Next, there are those ordinary zombies. Facing invisible telekinetic power, these slow-moving, low-defense zombies have no resistance. Like fireworks, heads burst open. Call underscore. After the end, Chu Nan rubbed his slightly sore temples. Looking at the mountain of corpses around him, he nodded in satisfaction. Let's go, keep going. He glanced at the windows on both sides of the road, and jumped back into the passenger seat of the RV. Psychics told him that there were many peeping eyes behind these windows. Apparently, these survivors saw the scene where he showed his might just now, but he didn't care. Appropriately demonstrate one's own strength. It can also prevent nightmarishers. Pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger. He is not interested in this. What he wants to do is to become the strongest in everyone's mind from the very beginning. Chang Xin took a deep breath, nodded, and started to lighten. The team began to continue moving in the direction of the fire station. And in the chat channel, after a brief silence, more violent discussions broke out. After collecting blood crystals, Chu Nan also asked several female soldiers to collect the screaming corpse, the saliva, the nails of the ferocious corpse, and of course, the blood of ordinary zombies. These are all the materials needed to make the virus antidote. Only the skin tissue of the last bloody corpse is needed, and the materials are ready. My lord, are they used to make any kind of potion? Sun Ke, who was lying on the back seat, asked with a curious expression. To be frank, besides this, she couldn't think of why Chu Nan would collect these disgusting things. Chu Nan played with the blood crystal in his hand, and nodded with a smile, used to make a kind of. At this point, he deliberately paused, and after attracting the attention of everyone in the car, he chuckled. Author. A potion that can treat zombie virus. As soon as this remark came out, the car fell into a moment of silence. Lingo looked at the crowd with some doubts, wondering why these people had such expressions. It's just an antidote. Big Brother is so powerful, it's not surprising even if he comes up with something that can wipe out all the zombies. My lord, do you mean, these things can make a virus antidote? Sun Kiki was the first to react, with a look of disbelief on his face. I heard the word correctly. Can this antidote cure the infection of the zombie virus? Because the news was too surprising, she confirmed it again. After all, if it is real, then the value of this potion is too great. In her opinion, the reason why human beings are beaten back by zombies is that there are more zombies and mutated zombies, but the most important thing is that after being scratched or bitten by zombies, human beings will soon be infected by the infection. The zombie virus has become the same kind of zombies, which also makes the vast majority of human beings fearful when facing zombies, unable to exert their due strength at all. But if there is an antidote, and there is no need to worry about the future, the damage of human beings will inevitably drop very, very much. The situation will be far worse than it is now. Although Chu Nan's team has Su Ruro around, they don't need an antidote. But other people need it. Su Ruro doesn't know how to clone, and the importance of the antidote is revealed at this time. Whether it is for trading or otherwise, both can bring huge benefits to Chu Nan, and it is a win-win for everyone. That's right, but there's still one material missing, and you can't make an antidote by relying on these. Chu Nan smiled. Is this what you said before, my lord, where you need me? Sun Kiki realized it. Yes, Her trait can increase the production of potions, and if the zombie antidote is real, then her trait is awesome. Now believe what I say. Chu Nan smiled playfully. Every trait is not useless, it's just that most people don't know how to use it. Well, I see. Sun Kiki's beautiful face flushed slightly, feeling a little embarrassed. Then, she seemed to think of something suddenly, and asked quickly, by the way, what materials are still missing? The skin tissue of a bloody corpse. Chu Nan said. Blood corpse. Zhuang Yan, who was at the side, thought about it when he heard this. Is it a zombie that is bloated and can explode? She had encountered it before, and after blowing it up with a single shot, it was covered by virus gas in a radius of tens of meters. After inhaling the gas, several soldiers under her immediately turned into zombies. Want here. A trace of sadness flashed in her eyes. It would be nice to meet Chu Nan sooner. That's right. Chu Nan sensed that Zhuang Yan was in a low mood. After touching the other's head, he nodded. It's this kind of zombie, but it's best not to hit its body, or you will encounter the same situation as you. Boom. Skin tissue was also difficult to collect during blast trials. Quote. Then what to do? Zhuang Yan said with a reddish expression. Although she doesn't resist Chu Nan's touch, she is always a little embarrassed to be touched on the head by the opposite gender. What's more, it was still in front of the former subordinates. Headshot. Chu Nan put down his hand, and said in a calm tone, as long as you blow its head before it explodes, the bloody corpse will not explode. Of course, you should be careful when collecting skin tissue. Don't use too much force, or it will explode. This is the experience he has gained in countless simulations. Unfortunately, this kind of zombie is rare, I only encountered it once. Zhuang Yan sighed. It's okay, I said, where is it? Chu Nan smiled. On the way back, take a short detour, and you'll find 3 bloody corpses. By then, having said that, he set his sights on Chang Xin, who was driving. Your marksmanship should be pretty good, right? Certainly. Chang Xin was stunned for a moment, and then said to herself, although I'm not very good at melee combat, if it's long-range sniping, none of Zhuang Yan and her soldiers can surpass me. Then it's up to you. Chu Nan smiled, although he could also quietly deal with the 3 blood-exploding corpses. But you can't do everything yourself, right? Just leave the small things to your subordinates. Do not worry. Chang Xin looked serious. I won't let you down. I'll wait and see. Chu Nan nodded. At this time, Su Ruro at the side glanced curiously at the blood-colored crystals that Chu Nan was playing with, and asked, are there any good qualities in these blood-colored crystals? No, it's all rubbish. Chu Nan shook his head. Zhuang Yan was a little puzzled. Miss Su means that adults can know in advance what qualities are bound in the crystal. Blood crystals can acquire new traits, she naturally knows this. But the acquired traits are random. If Chu Nan can know in advance what qualities are bound in the crystal. That's right. Chu Nan smiled. I know. After finishing speaking, he picked up one of the blood crystals in his hand. For example, this one is bound to a green quality called ballet lover, which can improve body flexibility, and mastering the one-word horse, obviously does not help much in the battle. Of course, if it is used in other places, it can also give people a special experience. There was a smirk on his lips. All the girls understood in seconds, their faces flushed slightly, and they glared at Chu Nan angrily. Do you like Big Brother? Ringo tilted his head and asked curiously. This look is like saying that if Chu Nan likes it, she is willing to bind this trait. It doesn't matter what trait is strong or not, as long as skill Chu Nan likes it. Do not like. Chu Nan felt a little helpless. Besides, even if I really like it, can't I just ask you to spare a little time every day to practice? Why waste a special slot? Quote. The girls are thoughtful. It seems that I really like it. After that, I can spare time to practice every day to be prepared. Chu Nan chose not to explain. The more he explained, the more troublesome he was. Since, my lord, you can know in advance what qualities are bound in the crystal, then later we will encounter that kind of crystal that we don't need, but it's a pity to use it as experience value, it can be used, let's trade. Zhuang Yan's eyes lit up, but then he seemed to think of something suddenly, and continued, of course, the premise is that you don't mind exposing this ability, my lord. Of course I don't mind. Chu Nan shook his head with a dumbfounded smile. This is indeed a good deal, but we'll talk about it later. He had to arrange the more than 200 girls under his command first, because most of them had only one trait. Yes, that's right here, turn right. He looked around, and then said to Chang Xin beside him. If it was going back to the fire station camp, going straight would naturally be the shortest route, but he had to collect the skin tissue of the dead body first. It is good. Chang Xin nodded and turned the steering wheel. After a while, Chu Nan raised his left hand and signaled Chang Xin to stop the car. There are 3 bloody corpses in the massage parlor ahead, don't get any closer or they will attract their attention. Let's just look at mine next, just wait for me here, and it will be fine soon. Chang Xin nodded, then turned to look at Zhuang Yan. Zhuang Yan handed Chang Xin a sniper rifle equipped with a silencer beside him. Although there are not many silencer weapons in her hand, they are still very complete. I'll pay you back when I'm done. Chang Xin took it with a smile on her face. Need not. Zhuang Yan rolled his eyes. I don't usually use guns very much, so I'll let you use this gun in the future. Thank you then. Chang Xin chuckled and was not polite. After all, with the relationship between him and Zhuang Yan's former GU, it's nothing more than a gun. Watching Chang Xin advance cautiously, Chu Nan rubbed his chin, a hint of amusement flashed in his eyes. What's wrong? Seeing this, Su Ruro was a little suspicious. She always felt that Chu Nan was holding back. It's nothing. It's just that I forgot to tell Chang Xin that besides the 3 blood-exploding corpses, there are also human beings. It seems that they are being hunted down. Chu Nan chuckled lightly. It's normal to encounter emergencies during operations, and he also wanted to see how Chang Xin would deal with them. Is the mission a failure? Or will it succeed? Will it ignore those people? Or will it be saved? Don't worry, I'm watching and nothing will happen to her. As if seeing the worry in Zhuang Yan's eyes, Chu Nan said with a smile. Bad taste. Su Ruro couldn't help complaining. But in his heart, he knew that Chu Nan was training Chang Xin. After all, if he wanted to fight side by side with Chu Nan, they were not qualified right now. Own, you have to work harder. Puff. Zhang Zishan swung his knife vigorously, cut a zombie in half from top to bottom, and then quickly rushed out from a dark alley. There are a dozen or so men behind him. All of these men are carrying a big backpack, and they have all kinds of weapons, including iron bars, baseball bats, and long swords. I don't know if the noses of these zombies belong to dogs. They obviously didn't make any noise. One of the fat middle-aged men cursed and smashed the head of the zombie in front of him with a stick. His name is Lu Heping, and he is Zhang Zishan's comrade in arms. After the Doomsday came, he was lucky enough to join Zhang Zishan, and gathered all the human survivors around him to form a small team. Later, the two discussed and planned to expand the size of the team and form a camp to defend against zombies. After all, there is power in numbers. And if you want to form a large camp, food and water are essential. This is also their purpose this time. The bags on the men's backs are full of food and water. It was supposed to go well. But for some reason, a screaming zombie in the distance suddenly found them, and made a cry to attract a large number of zombies. If he and Zhang Zishan were not strong enough, they would probably be wiped out. But, even if it has broken through now, the loss is still huge. There were 20 people when they set off, but now including him and Zhang Zishan, there are only 1,005 people left in the team. Old Lu, don't make such a loud noise. Zhang Zishan frowned and whispered. After finishing speaking, he waved his hand to signal everyone to squat down and not make any noise. Yes, yes, yes. Lu Heping nodded and didn't say anything more. Although he is with a fiery temper, he has always listened to Zhang Zishan. Uncle Zhang, shall we go back directly now? In the team, a young man in his 20s, wearing glasses and looking gentle asked in a soft voice. Wait first. Zhang Zishan frowned. The blue level danger prediction is warning him that there are still dangers around. And it's still very dangerous. This ability is very convenient. It can detect danger in advance. The only pity is that it doesn't let him know where the danger is. There are no zombies around. The young man looked around and found that everything was normal, and asked with some doubts. No, probably, somewhere we can't see. Zhang Zishan said with some vigilance. He has a very cautious personality, and the end of Japan is full of dangers, so he dare not relax at all. But, after a while, still nothing. Could it be that I feel wrong? Zhang Zishan looked puzzled, and after waiting for a while, he could only say, "Let's go. You can't stay any longer, or you might attract zombies." Everyone nodded when they heard the words, stood up, followed Zhang Zishan and threw them in the direction. But at this moment, crack, crack, heavy footsteps came from the front. "Stop." Zhang Zishan's face changed drastically, and he quickly asked everyone to stop. However, it was too late. Roar. A deep roar sounded, and I saw a monster more than 3 meters high, with a huge belly, and glowing red, like a giant sumo wrestler, trotting towards them. The pace is very slow, but because of the long legs, every step is several steps compared to ordinary people, so in the blink of an eye, the monster is very close to Zhang Zishan and others. Danger. Run. Zhang Zishan didn't look like he was fighting this zombie he had never seen before. And the danger prediction frantically warned him that if he didn't run again, the whole army might be wiped out. He took everyone with him and was preparing to return the same way. But the same monster appeared in the depths of the dark alley. The way back is broken. And also on the right. 3. This way. Zhang Zishan immediately ran to the left. The crowd followed closely behind. Phew, calm down. It's just 3 blood-exploding corpses, 3 shots to the head. Chang Xin held the sniper rifle tightly in both hands, and approached cautiously. During this period, an ordinary zombie blocked her way forward, and she touched it behind her and killed it with a knife. At the moment, it was only about 300 meters away from the place where the 3 blood-exploding corpses that Chu Nan said were located. Very good. This place is very suitable for sniping. Chang Xin walked to the center of several scrapped vehicles, hid her body as much as possible, then fixed her eyes, quietly waiting for her prey to appear. She has the trait of green level, sharp eyes. Her eyes are much better than ordinary people, and good eyes are also a necessary skill for snipers. Papa papa. At this moment, there was a sudden sound of chaotic footsteps ahead. Chang Xin frowned. Listening to the sound, it doesn't look like a zombie. She guessed right, because in the next second, more than a dozen human men rushed towards her. Except for the 2 middle-aged men who led the way, the dozen or so men behind them all showed panic, as if there was something extremely terrifying behind him. Roar. Accompanied by a low growl, heavy footsteps sounded. Chang Xin's pupils suddenly shrank. This is blood explosion corpse. Are these guys actually being hunted down by the blood exploding corpse? Hateful. This messed up her plans. The blood exploded corpses that have been alarmed are chasing and killing humans crazily. Now it is much more difficult to accurately snipe the head. But it's fun when it's difficult, isn't it? Chang Xin took a deep breath, raised the rifle with both hands, and entered the sniper mode. 1.2, 3, very good. The 3 blood-exploding corpses that your lord mentioned have all appeared, so you can save yourself the trouble of looking for them. Her mind turned sharply and she thought to herself. These guys. Daughter lucky to meet me. Puff, accompanied by a slight sound. In an instant, one of the bloody corpses that was about to pounce on those people was headshot directly. Can't you escape? Zhang Zishan watched a blood-exploding corpse getting closer and closer to the team, feeling anxious. Since he didn't have long-range weapons, he could only choose to make progress with the bloody corpse, but he didn't dare to do it rashly since he had never seen a bloody corpse, because the slightly red belly of the bloody corpse gave him a huge feeling sense of threat. It's just like, if he does it, everyone will die. Puff. At this time, a slight sound sounded. In the next second, the blood-exploding corpse closest to the team was directly headshot, and then fell to the ground with a plop. This is a rifle with a suppressor. Zhang Zishan, who had a military career, recognized it instantly. Keep running. Zhang Zishan whispered to the crowd behind him, and then ran towards the direction where the voice came from. He doesn't know whether the other party is an enemy or a friend, but right now he can only rely on this stranger if he wants to get rid of the bloody corpse's pursuit. Luckily, he was right. Puff. There were 2 more soft bangs, and the remaining 2 blood-exploding corpses were also sniped. The crisis is over, and Zhang Zishan also took his team and fled not far from where Chang Xin was. Woman. Zhang Zishan was stunned for a moment, and then immediately said gratefully, "Thank you. Do not move." Chang Xin aimed her gun at the men in front of her, and said in a cold tone, "If you take a step closer, I'll shoot." Compared to Chu Nan, she hates other men very much. This kind of disgust can even be said to be extremely hostile. If she is not afraid of being scolded by Chunan afterwards, she would like to shoot all the dozen or so men in front of her. Chug. Okay, I won't come near, let's go now. Zhang Zishan had goosebumps all over his body in an instant, because the danger prediction was telling him that if he took a step forward, the woman in front of him would really shoot. And many more. Chang Xin's tone was cold. Who told you to leave? You little girl, you don't let us come here, and you don't let us go, what do you want? Lu Heping couldn't help but speak. Old Lu, shut up. Zhang Zishan shouted in a low voice. Chang Xin didn't care, but said with a blank expression, my lord is behind, can you leave so that he can say? People. Zhang Zishan suddenly felt bad. He originally thought that the beautiful woman in front of him was a lone ranger, but it turned out that he had a team. To have such a powerful sniper under his command, and to be equipped with silencer weapons, it can be seen that this adult is by no means an ordinary person. Could it be possible? Is it the Aborigines of the Doomsday world as mentioned in the chat channel? When will your adults come over? He withdrew his mind and asked bravely. You. Chang Xin pointed to Lu Heping, and then said, walk straight along this street, and you will naturally find my lord, who says that Chang Xin has completed the sniper mission, so bring him over for inspection. She could tell at a glance that the two old men in front of her were friends, so she planned to ask one of them to inform Chu Nan. Quote. Lu Heping was a little reluctant. Old Lu, go. Zhang Zishan waved his hand and said in a heavy tone. Then, he took a deep look at Lu Heping. Quote. Fine. Lu Heping glanced at Zhang Zishan worriedly. Having known each other for so many years, he naturally understood what the other party meant. That is to let him act according to the situation later, and if the other party is not kind, he will run away by himself. But is he that kind of person? If the situation is not right, he will try his best to make some noise to make Zhang Zishan alert, and then he can run a few times. Think about it. Without hesitation, he followed the route Chang Xin pointed out. But at this moment, suddenly there was movement not far away. Accompanied by a huge steel beast, a team of hundreds of people appeared in front of Zhang Zishan, Lu Heping and others. Grown-ups. The coldness on Chang Xin's face melted instantly, like the warm sun on a spring day. Good job. Chu Nan jumped down from the RV and patted Chang Xin's head as if praising him. Then, he narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhang Zishan and the others. Google. Zhang Zishan and the others swallowed subconsciously. Because the sense of oppression is too strong. That's when Chang Xin pulled out a gun and threatened Zhang Zishan. In the team, the young man wearing glasses secretly opened the chat channel. Picture, brothers, I think I'm going to G. I thought it was a passing hero lady who saved me from the mouth of the zombies, but I found that this lady is more terrifying than zombies. She seems it's a member of the Aborigines, and just now they said that they would notify the adults of her family to come over. Question mark. What do you mean? The girl in the picture looks very pretty. This figure, this appearance, absolutely amazing. I think you're showing off. Since I saved you from the zombies, I shouldn't kill you. Otherwise, why save you? Hey, you seem to me to be a bit impressed. Didn't you still recruit people in the channel before? I remember that your team is pretty good, especially the two leading uncles. 1. I have encountered a hard stubble. I advise you to be honest. If it is really the strength of the Aborigines, don't resist, otherwise they will really do it. Don't ask me how I know. It seems that this kind of thing happened upstairs, ha 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 ha. The man with glasses wanted to cry but had no tears. At this moment, he felt movement in front of him. Looking up, the whole person was taken aback. Picture, it's over, isn't the other party too many people? And it looks very difficult to mess with. Hey, why are they all women? The man with glasses subconsciously took another screenshot and sent a message. Next, the chat channel exploded. Holy shit, isn't this, Brother Tangdao? You are so close to him. He just killed hundreds of zombies at once, including a dozen mutant zombies. To be honest, I advise you to be honest, otherwise there will be no place for burial. Actually, I have a guess. Could he be an Aborigine? We all preconceived it before, and only regarded him as a blue star person like us. It's very possible. I didn't think of it before. The head of the Aborigines. I think you should kneel down and lick it right now. If you can join the forces of Brother Tang Dao, what are you afraid of? I witnessed how this person killed hundreds of zombies in seconds. I was thinking about whether to join him or not. But after thinking about it, I just forget it. If the other party is moody, I will die. This little big brother looks very kind, he should be a good guy. So handsome. This is the apex of the Doomsday man. Hiss, I couldn't see clearly in the long-distance screenshots before, but now I look at them, these girls are all long-legged, good-looking, envious and jealous. The man with glasses was a little confused. Brother Tang Dao, he knows this person. He was discussed by many people in the chat channel before. Is this guy Brother Tang Dao? And, not long ago, he easily killed hundreds of zombies. Hiss. Zhang Zishan looked at the crowd of people in front of him, and he felt Alexander in his heart. After a while, he took a deep breath and said in a respectful tone, "My name is Zhang Zishan, and that is Lu Heping. Thanks to this lady, otherwise my team might be wiped out. Anyway, thanks in advance." Chu Nan was also a little surprised. He didn't expect that he would get to know Zhang Zishan so many days in advance. Obviously, the opponent should not even have established a camp now, and has just formed a small team. The strength of the team members is also not good. And lack of long-range weapons, no wonder he was chased and killed by 3 explosive corpses. But, he was still as cautious as before, and did not rashly engage in hand-to-hand combat with the blood-exploding corpse. Otherwise, Zhang Zishan and his team would have received their boxed lunch before Chang Xin made a move. "This, sir," Zhang Zishan continued to ask tentatively. "Don't be so restrictive." Chu Nan came back to his senses, and chuckled lightly, "My name is Chu Nan, and everyone is from my hometown." At the same time, the Eye of Truth opens, and the information appears. Name: Zhang Zishan. Potential: high. Trait: danger prediction, blue, you can predict danger in advance. Relationship: fear. Mood: this woman's marksmanship is so handsome. My lord, who is it? He's from the Blue Star. Invited me to the camp. What does he want to do? How should I put it? The strength is indeed higher than the average person. If you get 2 more good traits, it is estimated that you can reach the level of ordinary mutants when you grow to the limit. But that's about it. Fellow. Zhang Zishan was stunned for a moment, and then realized that Chu Nan was not an aborigine, but a Blue Star just like him. Knowing this, he felt a little more relaxed. After all, since they are also from Blue Star, the 2 parties can communicate more easily. At this time, he saw a beautiful woman without military uniform, who suddenly leaned close to Chu Nan's ear and whispered something. At the same time, he glanced at a man with glasses in his team. Click. Zhang Zishan's heart suddenly tightened. When he was about to say something, Chu Nan opened his mouth and smiled lightly. "Mr. Zhang Zishan, I hope your subordinates can be more peaceful and don't do things that make us misunderstand." Wang Wei. Zhang Zishan glared at the man with glasses. He knew that this young man was a bit out of character and liked water groups. Obviously, the man with glasses just said something in the chat channel, and then he was discovered by the people on Chu Nan's side. So, besides Chu Nan, the woman who just spoke is also from Blue Star. As for the other female soldiers, it must be the aborigines. I don't know how the guy did it, but he was able to subdue so many people on the first day of the Doomsday. Quote? Wang Wei was stunned for a moment, and then he realized that he quickly closed the chat channel. Before Chu Nan spoke, like some people on the channel, he thought that Chu Nan was an aborigine of the Doomsday world, but he didn't expect that Chu Nan, like the beautiful woman just now, was a Blue Star. It's over. I must have made the other party angry, so I shouldn't be slaughtered, right? He thought to himself in panic. Naturally, Chu Nan would not care about such a pawn. He smiled and said, "Mr. Zhang, I wonder if you would like to follow me to my camp. I have something to talk to you about." He didn't make a solicitation. First, the other party is a kind person who would save everyone, so it is not suitable for him. Second, he has tried several times in the simulation and knows that the other party is a generation who is not willing to be inferior. Zhang Zishan hesitated for a moment, looked at the female soldiers behind Chu Nan who were armed with live ammunition, and looked at him expressionlessly and nodded with a wry smile, then "Excuse me. It's impossible not to go, but I don't worry about being killed. After all, if Chunan has the intention to kill him, there is no need to spare such a big circle, just do it directly and he can't resist at all. Seeing that Zhang Zishan agreed, Chunan asked Zhuangdan to send someone to take them, Kun Jie, one step ahead. And he brought Sun Kiki and Su Ruro to the corpse of the bloody corpse. Not bad luck. 2 blood-colored crystals exploded. Including the food he sold before and what he just bought, there are already 12 blood crystals in the country. Blood crystal. There is a very small chance to obtain it after killing mutant zombies. The traits bound to this crystal are, Nun cuz lover green, you are a nerd who likes cuz nuns. You will bring a set of nun costumes at the beginning. After wearing them, all skills with healing interests will get 150% bonus. Blood crystal. There is a very small chance to obtain it after killing mutant zombies. The traits bound to this crystal are, Hand punching master purple, when you come to battle, your physical fitness will be slightly reduced, but your strength and speed will be slightly increased. Chunan directly counted the second trait. And the first. He turned his head and looked at Su Ruro. Why are you looking at me like that? Is there something on my face? Su Ruro was stunned for a moment, and asked in confusion. No. Chunan smiled, and threw the bloody crystal bound with the trait of Nun cuz lover to Su Ruro, smiling. The trait bound in this crystal is very suitable for you, and it is very compatible with prey. Okay. Of course, it still can't improve your ability to fight zombies head-on, it's up to you whether you need it or not. Auxiliary again. Su Ruro blinked Li Qian's eyes, looked at the blood crystal in his hand, and smiled at the same time. Then you have to protect me from now on. She has already figured it out. Since her prayer trait is so powerful, she should concentrate on being a nanny. Snapped. Crushed directly. In the next second, a bloody mist appeared. I saw a black nun's uniform suddenly appeared in the air. Su Ruro quickly caught it, and then sensed the traits she had just bound. This. She blushed suddenly, and at the same time gave Chunan a shy look. What, unexpectedly, is actually a coser. Indeed, as Chunan just said, this trait is very suitable for him, and if it is combined with prayer, the effect will be absolutely outstanding. But, what a shame, you like the tune. After she came back to her senses, she asked with a slightly weird expression. Don't you think this is exciting, Chin? The corners of Chunan's mouth twitched slightly. Rogue. Su Ruro glared at Chunan, then put away the nun's clothes first. Let's deal with these corpses first. What should we do? Cut it off gently with a dagger, be careful. Chunan chuckled, and then began to teach the 2 girls how to accumulate blood and explode the skin tissue of corpses. Zhang Zishan and others followed Chunan to the door of a fire station with mixed feelings. This is Mr. Chu's camp. He looked around and asked. At the same time, I secretly commented in my heart, well. It is easy to defend but difficult to attack. There are thick walls around, and the area is also very large. The garages where I parked before are suitable for use as warehouses. If you want to retreat, there are many ways to choose, which are many times better than the camp one chose. No, if you can go back this time, you must change camp. Yes, how do you feel? Chunan smiled. Good place. Zhang Zishan gave a dry laugh. Compared with his broken camp, I don't know how many times better. And the female soldiers on the side also whispered happily. It looks pretty good. I know this place, I have been here before. It seems that it was built not long before the end of the world broke out. Wow, look, the light over there is on. There's still electricity here. Can I have a hot meal today? It's so big. At least it's better than living in a tent. Now the weather is getting colder and colder. Last night I was so cold that I couldn't sleep. Hey, I slept with my good sister in my arms. Hey, tangerine smells like orange. At this time, Ji Yuying greeted her, and she first looked at the more than 200 beautiful female soldiers behind Chunan. After a moment of silence, he said with a smile on his face, Chunan, shall I arrange a place for them to live first? There are still a lot of dormitories in the fire station, 8 people to 1 room, enough to accommodate nearly 1,000 people. It is said that it used to house for the fire brigade and a troop stationed here. Well, let's go. Chunan blinked and nodded with a smile. He didn't expect Ji Yuying to be jealous before, but when he came back with more than 200 girls, he didn't get mad. This is, give him face in front of outsiders. Hello, my name is Zhuang Yan, and I was their former leader. My name is Ji Yu Ying, I'm, that guy's woman, let's go, I'll take you to the dormitory. Thank you Ms. Ji Yu. You're welcome, I think we'll be sisters soon, hee. Sure enough, he was still angry. Chu Nan looked at Ji Yu Ying leaving with a group of female soldiers, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Come to a conference room. After Chu Nan signaled Zhang Zishan and others to sit down, he asked Su Ruro to make a cup of tea for everyone. The fire station has an independent diesel generator, so it can naturally boil water, but the diesel reserves seem to be a little insufficient, and the number of people is small, but when the number of people increases, it is estimated that it can only last for a month about. It seems, I have to find some time to get some oil back. Thank you. Zhang Zishan held up the teacup with a slight look on his face, with a slightly complicated expression. The gap between these people is too big. He also entered the Doomsday world today. He and his team worked hard to find some food and water, most of which had already expired. If Chang Xin didn't appear, and even die. But Chu Nan, not only does it have a base with an excellent location, but it also has more than 200 beautiful female soldiers under it. It doesn't even look like life has been affected much. Just one word, moisturize. I don't know what orders Mr. Chu brought us here. Zhang Zishan took a deep breath, calmed down, and asked. On the way, he has been guessing Chu Nan's intentions. First, he wanted to recruit him. To be honest, if that was the case, Zhang Zishan would still be a little embarrassed, because he didn't like being controlled by others. Second, I just want him to do one thing. This is a bit troublesome, because his family knows his own affairs, and his team is basically useless except for him and Lu Heping. Can you do physical work and kill zombies? If you don't run away when you encounter zombies, you are considered courageous. Thirdly, cooperation. Although he doesn't feel that he is qualified to cooperate with Chu Nan at the moment, this is what he looks forward to the most. Order. Chu Nan chuckled and shook his head. No, what I dislike the most is bullying others. I asked Mr. Zhang to come over to cooperate with you. Real. Zhang Zishan was stunned for a moment, and then he looked surprised. But soon he restrained his expression, and asked with a slight frown, how to cooperate with the law. Although I don't want to admit it, but I think Mr. Chu, your current power, you should not like me with this little manpower, right? At the same time, I don't think I can start any cooperation with you now. Not now. Chu Nan smiled. I am optimistic about your future. He raised his teacup and took a sip of tea, and after Zhang Zishan digested what he just said, he continued, I like to go straight to the point. Let's put it this way, I have a formula in my hand that can research the antidote for the zombie virus. Now the development has already started, I think. Mr. Zhang should be very interested in this thing. What? Zhang Zishan froze for a moment, couldn't hold his expression anymore, his face was full of shock, an antidote to the virus. He naturally knew that after being bitten or scratched by a zombie, humans would be infected with the virus, and would directly turn into a zombie in just 1 or 2 hours. Because when I watched the chat channel before, there were many people crying and shouting that they were scratched by zombies, and then there was no sound after a while. Someone also took a special screenshot of how a person turned into a zombie after being bitten. So, when he encountered a bloody corpse before, he would just turn around and run ACDA. First, the danger prediction feature reminded him that he was in danger, and second, he didn't know the attack method of this zombie, so he was afraid that he would be bitten. But what did he hear now? In Chu Nan's hands, is there a virus antidote? It's only the first day, and you actually got something like this. Lu Heping and others beside Zhang Zishan also looked dull. Now they are starting to wonder if Chu Nan is from Blue Star. Why is the gap so big when the end of the world has just come? That's right. Chu Nan nodded. The production has already started, I mean. At this point, the corner of his mouth slightly raised. Mr. Zhang, if you want an antidote to the virus, you can trade it with food, water or blood crystals goods, of course, if there are other valuable things, such as ammunition, silenced weapons, etc. are also available. If you use blood crystals to trade, what is the trading method? How much antidote can one crystal exchange for? After Zhang Zishan calmed down, he said with bright eyes. The antidote, he must. After all, he can't guarantee that he will never be scratched by zombies in battle. As for the trading items, he was the first to give up food and water, because he felt that what his camp lacked most in the future was food and water. And blood crystals are also very precious. But because it can only obtain the relationship of random traits, it is more suitable to be used as a currency in transactions. How much antidote is a crystal? Chu Nan blinked, stretched out his finger and shook it. No, it's a bottle of antidote for 3 crystals, no bargaining. This is the most exchange rate he has come up with in countless simulations, and he is 100% sure that Zhang Zishan will agree to it in the end. Monopoly. It's that awesome. It's okay if you don't change it, then you can only wait to die when you are infected with the virus. What? Zhang Zishan's eyes widened, his expression was ugly. I can't accept the price of 3 crystals for a bottle of antidote. You know, he has also encountered mutant zombies before. Although he didn't explode blood crystals, he also knows how difficult it is to kill a mutant zombie. You can think about it slowly. Chu Nan smiled, then waved his hand. Okay, we've finished talking, so I won't keep everyone here. He had no intention of wrangling with Zhang Zishan at all. See, Zhang Zishan's face turned blue for a while, and turned red every day. Finally, he sighed helplessly. Okay, I mean. If the antidote is really effective, I am willing to use this ratio to exchange it, but I don't have blood crystals right now, so I don't know. Mr. Chu, can you give me an antidote first? Bloody crystal owes it first. No change. It will be too late when it is really infected. Can. Chu Nan nodded. Zhang Zishan's character is something he can trust. At a good level, he is a good person, but at a bad level, he is full of the heart of the Virgin. So he was not afraid that Zhang Zishan would renege on his debts. But I'm afraid you have to wait for a while. The antidote is still being developed. Probably, it will take more than an hour. After Chu Nan estimated the time, he smiled and said, Mr. Zhang might as well take a rest here. Okay. Zhang Zishan let out a long breath. After agreeing to trade with this ratio, he suddenly felt that it was not unacceptable. After all, if the crystal is gone, you can get it again, but if you die, you will have nothing. Excuse me. Chu Nan stood up. I still have some things to deal with. I will ask someone to give you the medicine later. After speaking, he took Su Ruro and left the meeting room. Wait until Chu Nan leaves. Zhang Zishan and the others looked at each other with complicated expressions. After a while, Lu Heping said, Lao Zhang, do you really believe that he has an antidote? Letter. Zhang Zishan nodded. After all, he agreed to give the antidote first, and if it really works, then continue trading, and we won't lose money. But, 3 crystals for a bottle of antidote. Lu Heping had a heartache on his face. Before I knew it, an hour passed. Patter. The door of the meeting room was opened. Holding a bottle of dark liquid, Su Ruro came to Zhang Zishan and the others, and then put it on the table in the meeting room. Is this the antidote to the virus? Zhang Zishan asked suspiciously. This thing, no matter how you look at it, it looks like it's poison. Don't believe me? Then give it back to me. Su Ruro shrugged, reaching out to get back the antidote. Letter. Zhang Zishan quickly took the antidote in his hand, and said with a smile. The antidote is also given to you. If you want to trade at that time, just send someone here. After finishing speaking, Su Ruro seemed to have thought of something, glanced at Wang Wei in the crowd, and said, by the way, you'd better ask your little brother to go to the chat channel to explain, so as not to affect our reputation. Yes, I'll let him explain right away. Zhang Zishan froze for a moment, then turned around and glared at Wang Wei. By the way, can you tell that Mr. Chu is from Blue Star? He asked tentatively. Casual. Su Ruro waved her hand. Okay, I still have something to do, you can do it yourself. After speaking, under the watchful eyes of Zhang Zishan and others, he left the conference room. She wanted to go back and try on the nun dress. Cough cough. What's the effect? I don't intend to seduce Chu Nan at all. But in the chat channel at this time, as Wang Wei stopped speaking, the content of the chat became more and more ridiculous. Why haven't you spoken for so long? Won't you be silenced by Brother Tang Dao? Hey, could it be that Brother Tang Dao has a violent temper? I wanted to get to know him before. 1. It's still called Brother Tang Dao. Are you afraid that he will kill you after hearing it? Is the little big brother a blue star? I don't think it should be. If it is, it would be terrible, to be able to subdue more than 200 girls in half a day. Desperate. Why are you all thinking so dirty? Don't you see it? These girls have more or less black blood stains on their bodies, obviously they have fought against zombies, they are not vases, I think. Well, this brother just took a fancy to the fighting power of the girls. Beautiful people, long legs, strong strength, sisters, I don't want to work hard anymore. Give up, you're just a piece of trash, no one will care about you. They are all young people, haven't you noticed the way these girls look at this brother? Respect, admiration, admiration. If this brother wants to, he can sleep with another girl every day. Hiss, build a small country by yourself. I'm jealous. At this time, Wang Wei and others also logged into the chat channel. When they saw the first message, they suddenly felt cold sweat. No wonder. Which beautiful woman just said that it affected Mr. Chu's reputation, this must be explained. Think about it. Wang Wei quickly spoke. Don't talk nonsense, after Mr. Chu rescued us, he took us to his camp and entertained us, by the way. Although the content cannot be disclosed, but we have reached a cooperative relationship with Mr. Chu. As soon as this statement came out, the topic in the chat channel changed instantly. So you didn't die, Mr. Chu. Did you mean his surname is Chu? By the way, is he a blue star? Wang Wei. That's right, Mr. Chu is naturally surnamed Chu, but the name. I am not convenient to say, because I didn't get his permission. Yes, Mr. Chu is blue star people. 1. Hiss. Not an aborigine. This guy. No, how did Mr. Chu do it? Not only is he powerful, but he also established his own power so quickly. It would be better if he was an aborigine, but now that he is a blue star, my mentality has collapsed. This gap is too big. Am I the only one who cares about the word cooperation? Did you hug Mr. Chu's thigh? Opening square bracket ... Can you tell me where Mr. Chu's camp is? I want to hug my thigh too. Tell Mr. Chu, my sister, I don't need those girls at all, and I can do any posture. If you can introduce me, my sister is willing to thank you. Opening square bracket, closing square bracket. Wang Wei. Everyone, calm down, there is no thigh hugging, it's just a normal cooperation. I can't reveal the location of the camp. He wants to explain, but from everyone's point of view, he and his teammates are obviously hugging their thighs. Heart tired, Wang Wei was a little helpless. Forget it, hug your thighs and hug your thighs. In short, it would be nice to explain that he was not murdered. Watching Zhang Zishan and others leave the camp carefully, Chu Nan looked at the gradually darkening sky and fell into deep thought. At night, the activity level of the zombies will increase a lot, and whether it is strength, speed, perception ability, etc., it will get a huge increase. So, if it is not necessary, try not to go out at night. Let's sum it up. Chu Nan walked to a sofa and sat down, drinking tea while thinking about this. Although the first day of the Doomsday is not over yet, his performance has far surpassed any previous simulations. He gathered Lin Hao and others, subdued Chang Xin, Zhuang Yan and 200 female soldiers, and established a stronghold in the fire station with food and water supplies. I also collected a lot, and reached a cooperative relationship with Zhang Zishan, who is just starting up now. In general, if the full score is 100 points, he thinks he can give himself 90 points. Knock knock. There was a knock on the door. Come in. Chu Nan came back to his senses, Taguchi said. Next second. Ji Yuying walked in with a stack of thick paper, and said, this is the information of the more than 200 female soldiers, and the characteristics of each of them have been recorded. Although the tone was normal, Chu Nan could still hear a sour taste from it. Come over. Chu Nan smiled and waved. Would you like me to come here? Ji Yuying twitched her lips, but she came to Chu Nan's side obediently. Then, very consciously sat on Chu Nan's lap, and at the same time picked up a few pieces of paper and handed them over. Let's have a look. Just look at it that way. Chu Nan was a little embarrassed. He intended to rub Ji Yuying's head, but he didn't expect this woman to sit on his lap. Touching my head can't calm my emotions, don't talk nonsense, hurry up. While Ji Yuying was speaking, she turned her head inadvertently. Gee, what a goblin. Chu Nan could only forcefully suppress the anger in his heart, picked up the paper and looked at it. Sun Shin, in the potential, the trait is, driver's license in the pocket. It can improve the durability of the vehicle and reduce energy consumption, can be a driver in the future. Bai Shaoshan, with great potential, traits farmers increase production when farming, logistics. Zhang Guo, has high potential, special rapid attack and kill and stab type skills. It can be cultivated as a frontline army, not bad. Immersion, high potential, oh, there are two qualities. Agility and lock-picking expert, one increases movement speed, the other can pick locks, can be brought by Li Beidao as an assassination force. Quote. Morong Lin, potential, biologist trait. Researcher, follow Wang Han. Chu Nan looked at the documents one by one. His eyes gradually became serious, and the spark in his heart because of Ji Yuying was also extinguished. In simple terms, just entered the sage mode. As for Ji Yuying, looking at Chu Nan with a serious face in front of her, her eyes became blurred. As the saying goes, men who work hard are the most handsome. As if thinking of something, her red lips parted slightly, and her face flushed slightly. Next second, Chu Nan's thinking stagnated for a moment. But he quickly returned to work. Of course, for some reason, he was not as focused as before. Su Ruro stood outside Chu Nan's office with some hesitation. The expression is a little embarrassed. That's right, she has already put on the nun's costume, not to mention, although her figure is still the same, but with the addition of the nun's costume, she has an inexplicably holy temperament. Come on, Su Ruro, you can do it. That guy will definitely turn into a beast when he sees you dressed like this. Isn't it a bit too reserved? No, what a ghost, Ji Yuying is one step ahead. Decided, let's go. Su Ruro took a deep breath, and then prepared to open the door of the office. It can be next second. Crack, the door opened directly. Why are you here? Su Ruro froze for a moment, then asked Ji Yuying, who was blushing slightly, with a slight frown. Ji Yuying's expression was a little weird. Helpless, hesitant, tangled. Google_. Ji Yuying's throat moved slightly, and then she covered her mouth and smiled and said, It's you who delivered the documents to Chu Nan. Are you looking for him dressed like this? Do you want to steal the house? I only dress like this because of my personality. Su Ruruo's eyes flickered for a moment. I came to him just to test the effect of prey. Oh, I understand. Ji Yuying chuckled. Then I won't bother you. After finishing speaking, he bypassed Su Ruro and walked towards the direction of the bathroom. Why is this woman so weird? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't I say a few words to her? Su Ruro secretly thought with some doubts. Never mind. Who cares? At this time, Su Ruro suddenly smelled a strange smell in the air, like egg white. What smell? She muttered something, then walked into Chu Nan's office. But what she noticed was that after hearing her mumbling, Ji Yuying staggered and almost fell. After an hour, Chu Nan came out of the office, stretched his waist, and his bones creaked. You've been sitting here. He frowned slightly and looked at Ji Yuying, who was not far away, who was sitting on a chair, reading a book with great interest. Is it over? Ji Yuying put down the book in her hand, stroked her double-folded hair, and said in a playful tone, Of course, I have been sitting here since that nun lady entered. What kind of eyes do you have? I don't know. I don't have the habit of listening to the corners. I'm afraid that someone will come in curiously when they hear the movement inside. At the end, her tone seemed a little helpless. Where are people? Are you tormented enough? She continued. Ahem, just rest for a while. Chu Nan's expression was slightly awkward, but he returned to normal immediately. It seems that you really like the tune, 567. Ji Yuying said thoughtfully, then stood up and tilted her head. Should you be satisfied this time? Almost. Chu Nan quickly changed the subject. By the way, did someone come to see me just now? Ji Yuying stared at Chu Nan for a while, then smiled and said, Yes, Zhuangyan wants to ask you how to arrange for those female soldiers who don't have fighting qualities. Let's have a meeting. Chu Nan touched his chin. Go and inform them. Where's the nun? Ji Yuying glanced at the closed office door. ... Let her rest, she probably won't have the energy to move today. You are really an animal. Excellent. Tisk. Meeting room. Chu Nan sat in the first place, with Ji Yuying, Chang Xin, Zhuang Yan, Sun Kiki, Li Beidao and Wang Han sitting on his left and right sides respectively. Except for Ringo and Su Ruro, the core members are all here. Su Ruro couldn't come, but Lingo didn't have to come. My lord, my experiment is reaching a critical moment. Waiting for the bloodshot eyes, Wang Han said in a hoarse tone, somewhat reluctantly. Proper rest is still necessary. I don't want you to have GG the next day after you research the instrument. As he spoke, Chu Nan took out a blood crystal and threw it to the other party, tomorrow's research share. What? Wang Han caught it in a hurry, and then his face was overjoyed. Hey, thank you Tian Ping. Since there are crystals to take, then there's nothing wrong with coming to a meeting. Okay, let's start the meeting. Chu Nan tapped the table twice with his fingers, and then said, Zhuang Yan, I have seen the characteristics of the female soldiers under your command, and the characteristics like Bai Shaoshan are the bonuses of farming. There is an empty field behind the fire station, and there are seeds of various crops in the warehouse. Let's start planting immediately, and the person in charge should be Bai Shaoshan. The materials he collects in the supermarket are various, and the seeds of crops are naturally also available, and the types are also very rich. As for the issue of water sources, I will leave it to Wang Xin. I remember that her trade is the blue level, seeking rain, which can bring down rain in a small area, which is just right for Bai Shaoshan. 12. For scientific research, report directly to Wang Han. Li Beidao, these people are good at assassination, sneak attack, and stealth, it's up to you. The ones with outstanding combat capabilities should be led by you, Zhuang Yan, as an independent combat force, responsible for clearing out the zombie groups around the territory. The rest, traits are not very useful, but you can't give up. Chang Xin, you take them as the base's protection force, and don't take part in the operation for the time being. That's all I have to say. Does anyone have anything to add? After Chu Nan handed several documents to Li Beidao, Wang Han, Zhuang Yan and Chang Xin, he spoke. I have no problem. Zhuang Yan shook his head and said with a smile, your distribution is very reasonable, my lord. She originally thought that those female soldiers who were no different from ordinary people would be marginalized by Chu Nan, but she didn't expect to hear Chu Nan's words, and she didn't mean to give up at all. Next, everyone asked some questions one after another, and Chu Nan solved them one by one. The first meeting is over. My lord, if there is nothing else, I will go down to do research. Wang Han said impatiently. No, Chu Nan said solemnly. Your body is already very tired, today's research is over, and we will continue tomorrow. He didn't want Wang Han to die suddenly after he developed the instrument. ... I see. Quote, Wang Han hesitated for a moment, then nodded. The meeting is over. Chu Nan waved his hand. Everyone stood up one after another, and then started to act as Chu Nan ordered before. Ah, my lord asked me to be in charge of planting the crops. Bai Shaoshan's eyes widened, and he pointed at his round face in disbelief. Her characteristic is farmer because when she was in the camp before, there were no seeds for crops, and she was not suitable for farming, so she is basically no different from a tow bottle. But she didn't expect that on the first day of coming to Chu Nan's camp, she would jump from an unknown soldier to the person in charge of a project. Zhuang Yan handed a few pieces of paper to Bai Shaoshan, and then said with a smile, aren't you and Wang Xin good sisters? Her trait is praying for rain, which is just right for you to plant crops, and the others also have this trait from now on. Our meals will be handed over to you, Supervisor Bai. I have never done management. Bai Shaoshan was a little timid. No one is born to be a manager, do you want to disappoint adults? Zhuang Yan frowned and said meaningfully, no. Bai Shaoshan shook his head quickly. After hesitating for a moment, he gritted his teeth and said, okay, I will work hard. All in all, she definitely can't let Chu Nan down. The camp began to develop in an orderly manner. Chu Nan went around a few times and returned to his bedroom after finding nothing wrong. All the quilts are taken from the supermarket. Although there is a slight smell, it is enough to let them bask in the sun another day, so let's make do with it now. Would you like to consume 10 blood crystals to upgrade the blue feature, space ring, to purple? The text appeared in front of my eyes. Without hesitation, Chu Nan directly chose OK. The space ring is very convenient, but 10 cubic meters is still a bit small. Update success. Space ring purple. You have a 20 cubic meter space ring, which cannot place dead objects. Good. Chu Nan looked at the ring on his finger that was slightly emitting purple light, and nodded in satisfaction. Next, just play your first simulation since the end of the day. Simulation starts. It is detected that you have come to the end. The simulator will start the simulation from the next day. Chapter 71. The next day, Chu Nan woke up from his sleep. He was about to stretch when he found a smaller figure lying beside him. Little Ringo. He was a little puzzled. When did you come? Well, Ringo turned over and muttered. Big brother, let me sleep for a while. Get up, the sun is drying your ass. Chu Nan patted the girl's PG angrily. Ringo woke up suddenly, clutching the PG, his face flushed, looking like an apple. Just to ask you, when are you in my room? Chu Nan got up and went to the hanger, put on his coat and asked, didn't I arrange a room for you? Why don't you sleep well? I am afraid. Ringo blinked and said, Little Ringo, do you know that when you lie, your left eyebrow moves? Chu Nan said angrily. Ah, Ringo touched his left eyebrow subconsciously. I'm lying to you, just sleep in my room honestly today. Chu Nan chuckled lightly. After entering the Doomsday World 02, this little girl has never shown any fear. Even when she saw a zombie, her heartbeat only slightly accelerated. Fear, he didn't believe it. Oh, Ringo responded sullenly. She just wanted to find an excuse to sleep with Chu Nan, but it was a pity that she was found out. Knock knock. At this time, the door was knocked. Then a female voice sounded. Are you awake, my lord? Hold on. Chu Nan got dressed and piling the door. Appearing in front of his eyes was a cute female soldier with fair complexion and a small round face. I don't know if it was because of the heat, the female soldier's face was a little red. This is. He looked down at the dinner plate in the female soldier's hand, on which was a bowl of porridge and a side dish. My lord, I am Bai Shaoshan. The female soldier was a little nervous. These are breakfasts. I saw that you haven't gotten up, so I brought them here. Chu Nan had a weird expression. Thank you, give it to me, have you all eaten? Talking about playing, he took the dinner plate from the female soldier. I've eaten, if there's nothing else to do, I'll be leaving first. Bai Shaoshan lowered his head, his face seemed to be even redder. Never mind, Chu Nan shook his head. Then I'll take my leave first. Just as the female soldier was about to leave, she seemed to have thought of something, and said, Thank you sir for trusting me, I will not let you down. After finishing speaking, as if he was afraid that Chu Nan would say something more, he quickly ran away. Question mark question mark question mark. Chu Nan returned to the room with some puzzlement. Big brother rogue. Ringo tilted his head and suddenly said this. Little Ringo, what nonsense are you talking about? Why did I have a miscarriage? Chu Nan's eyes widened. Big brother, your pants are not zipped up and. Ling Po glanced at it, then turned his head quickly, his cheeks flushed slightly. Chu Nan closed the zipper expressionlessly. This is not a hooligan, it's something I was born with, and there is nothing I can do about it. Had breakfast. Chu Nan came to his office and looked out through the window. Zhuang Yan is leading the combat troops under him to practice melee combat. Good guy, they are all real guys, they still fight for real. He even saw one of the female soldiers being slashed in the chest, and blood gushed out instantly. The fighting stopped immediately. With awkward steps, Su Ruro used Origin to heal the female soldier. The injury quickly recovered, and the female soldier got up with a pale face and continued to fight. ... Are you working so hard? No, this is no longer hard work, it's desperation. Quote. Chu Nan muttered to himself. What he didn't know was that the aborigines like Zhuangyan were different from him. I have been struggling to survive in the apocalypse for more than a month, and I deeply understand how difficult life is now, so naturally I don't want to lose my current life because of my own slack. Patter. At this time, the door of the office was opened. Ji Yuying walked in. I knew you were here. Morning. Chu Nan came back to his senses, nodded with a smile. Morning. Ji Yuying replied, and then asked, is there any action today? Today, we went out to hunt mutant zombies. Chu Nan pondered for a moment and said. Yesterday, when he was simulating, he already knew where the mutated zombies were the most around. As long as he was fast, he could directly attract the mutated zombies. That's right, he intends to purify Shish 6340 area first, and then go to SZ8657 area as soon as possible. Take me, Ji Yu Ying said eagerly. Chu Nan nodded with a smile. Bring you, Lin Ao and Su Ruro, Zhuangyan Chang Xin and the others won't go, the camp needs someone to stay behind. Then what are you waiting for, let's go. Ji Yu Ying said impatiently. After binding multiple casting, she naturally wanted to have a real fight. It's different from Chu Nan's side. Others are not so lucky. In the chat channel, most people are sighing and expressing all kinds of desperate voices. Thousands of people died again. The number of people in the channel is getting smaller and smaller, I guess it will be my turn tomorrow. It took a lot of hard work to find a pack of expired biscuits. How can I survive? It's too difficult. How did that Mr. Chu do it? To recruit so many people, he must have a lot of food and water in his hand. Why don't you help us? Exactly. I am a lustful person, and I am actually unwilling to help us instead of helping those aborigines. Too selfish. I think the guy who trades food and water for crystals in the trading channel is the one whose surname is Chu. If I have such a strong strength, I will definitely benefit all mankind, instead of being a selfish person. Is Mr. Chu there? Don't be a coward. He won't care about our lives, this guy. On the first day, although most people are afraid, they still have a fluke mentality, thinking that they may return to the real world when they wake up the next day. Now that it is impossible to go back, coupled with the danger of Doomsday, these people's mentality directly collapsed. They will not admit that they are incompetent, they will just throw the blame on others. For example, Chu Nan is powerful, but he doesn't want to help them at all. The inferiority of human beings began to be revealed. To this, Chu Nan didn't mind. Don't say he didn't know, even if he knew, he would just laugh it off. After all, he is essentially a selfish person, as long as he and the people around him can survive the apocalypse. The lives of others, none of his business. In a dark room, Wang Zihao had a sullen face, his eyes were full of jealousy and malice. He knew that, Mr. Chu, because in reality, he was a classmate of Mr. Chu in college. Now seeing that, Mr. Chu is not only powerful, but has also conquered a large number of beautiful girls, his mentality directly collapsed. Chu Nan, Wang Zihao clenched his fists, and his tone was unwilling. A loser in reality, how can he acquire such great strength? But the traits of a successful person like me are just a stupid Yiguo Renben lover. Not only does this trait not improve any ability, but it also makes him feel all kinds of irritability when he is wearing clothes. Under the guidance of this emotion, he began to slander Chu Nan frantically in the chat channel. The effect is very good. In the past, most people didn't like the rich and hated the rich. This comes from various pressures in life. And now, when life is threatened and there is no help from powerful people, most people start to hate the strong. Chu Nan is the strongest human being recognized by everyone today. At this time, suddenly there was movement outside. Boom! The flames burst into the sky, instantly brighten an otherwise dark room. Wang Zihao's distorted face was also revealed instantly. Is someone fighting zombies? His expression changed, and he came to the window cautiously, then stretched out his head to look out. Next second, a familiar figure came into his eyes. Ji Yu Ying, you've been quiet for a while. Chu Nan held the Tang Dao transformed by Ringo in his right hand, looked at the screaming corpse not far away that had been burned into chatter, and said a little speechlessly. How can this be my fault? Ji Yu Ying puffed her mouth, looking a little dissatisfied, but her tone seemed very proud. This is a blow with triple damage. I have tried my best to control the flames, but there is nothing I can do about it being so loud. Could it be you blame me for being too strong? Besides, even if zombies are attracted, there is still you, isn't it, darling? She leaned against Chu Nan with a charming look. Don't be funny. Chu Nan pushed her away with some disgust. I think you are too relaxed. What if I am not here and you attract stronger zombies? Okay, wrong way. Ji Yu Ying helplessly spread her hands. Chu Nan, this screaming corpse burst into bloody crystals. Su Ruro opened the mouth and said, Chu Nan nodded, stretched out his left hand, and saw the red crystal not far away slowly floating up, and then quickly arrived in his hand. Blood crystal. There is a very small chance to obtain it after killing mutant zombies. The characteristics bound to this crystal are: Flash Purple, you can use up your stamina to perform an instant teleportation, and the teleportation location can only be within your line of sight. The range cannot be greater than 100 points. Life-saving skills. Chu Nan's eyes lit up, and he subconsciously thought of the perfect body Wei Chen he met in the previous simulation. That guy had flash traits back then, and it caused him a lot of trouble. What? Is this trait good? Seeing this, Ji Yuying and Su Ruro asked. Well, life-saving, I just need it. Chu Nan nodded and was about to crush it. The sound of footsteps continued from the building next door. In the next second, a man about 1.8 meters tall, luxuriously dressed, and ordinary-looking man ran out staggeringly. At the same time, he said pleasantly, Chu Nan. You are Chu Nan, right? I'm Wang Zihao, your college classmate. It's great to meet you in this end. As he spoke, he approached Chu Nan. That's right, he planned to make a fool of himself and seek refuge with Chu Nan. Oh, a hint of amusement flashed in Chu Nan's eyes. He had forgotten that he had encountered this scene during the simulation yesterday. Wang Zihao, long time no see, he said with a chuckle. And the other side, after Wang Zihao saw that Chu Nan had great strength but did not show a domineering attitude, he felt a little relieved. Of course, on the surface he still looked innocent and happy and said, Ah, long time no see, I thought you were not alone after I saw your photo in the chat channel. Hey, Chu Nan, you now that I am so powerful, can you take me with you? The traits I got randomly are too rubbish, even killing an ordinary zombie is difficult, and it is impossible for a person to survive in the Doomsday. At the end, he said jokingly, everyone has been an old classmate for so many years, you can't help but die, right? Of course, old classmates, it is natural to help each other. Chu Nan smiled lightly, and then said meaningfully, just following me is also very dangerous. It's okay, I'm not afraid of danger. Wang Zihao patted his chest full of confidence, then seemed to suddenly think of something, and said cautiously, by the way, I posted about meeting you in the chat channel, is it okay? The reason why he did this was naturally because he was afraid that Chu Nan would kill him. Of course it doesn't matter. Chu Nan was still amiable on the surface. What is this? A threat? How childish. Hey. Wang Zihao touched his head and smiled, then I can rest assured. In my heart, I mocked with disdain. Fool, I have all the power in my body. If it were me, I wouldn't pay attention to you who is weak. No, even the moment I saw you, I would crush you into powder. It's just that he doesn't know it. All these journeys in his heart were seen by Chu Nan's eye of truth. Chu Nan, I don't have much fighting ability, why don't you send me back to your camp first? If I'm here, I might disturb your fight. Wang Zihao said. Fine. Chu Nan waved his hand, are you always influencing me? Oh, that's right, haha. Wang Zihao nodded awkwardly. God TM doesn't have much influence, this guy won't beat around the bush, please, and call me rubbish, right? How are you two beauties? I am Chu Nan's old classmate. He didn't think too much, and greeted Ji Yuying and Su Ruro with a smile. The two women didn't intend to pay any attention to it, and didn't even glance at it. Wang Zihao's face suddenly became a little ugly. Okay, let's continue hunting mutant zombies. Chu Nan looked at the blood-colored crystal in his hand, and didn't choose to crush it, but put it into his space ring. Hunting mutant zombies. Wang Zihao was taken aback for a moment. You guys didn't come across that screaming corpse just now, but were hunting it on purpose. This is too dangerous, right? Danger. Chu Nan chuckled. It is because of the danger that people can grow faster. He patted Wang Zihao on the shoulder. Wang Zihao's body trembled inexplicably. He suddenly felt that there seemed to be something wrong. Shish 6340 Regional Channel, current number, 19,117,333. Ha. I saw Mr. Chu, familiar before, and wondered if Mr. Chu was my classmate, but I was lucky enough to meet him today, and I found out that it is. Picture. This news was naturally sent by Wang Zihao. At the same time, there is a picture of him sneaking from a height. In the picture, although the distance is a bit far away, everyone recognized the handsome man standing not far from the corpse of the zombie. It was Mr. Chu. Old classmate, you are so lucky, right? I really want to have a strong old classmate. Envy. I have encountered it before, but I dare not touch it. At the same time, Wang Zihao's private messages also started to beep crazily. After all, unlike Chu Nan Shenlong who sees the head but doesn't see the end, he appears in front of everyone openly. Little big brother, can you help me to ask if Mr. Chu still lacks a girl? This girl is light and soft and easy to push down, attached picture. I will know what a man likes. Little big brother, can you introduce Mr. Chu for me? I can accompany you for a night, but you can't say it. Brother, meet me. Dude, help, can you save me? I'm starving to death. Little big brother, can you give me a piece of bread? I'm willing to do anything. Wang Zihao checked his private messages calmly. Hiss. After he saw the selfies of those girls, his heart began to beat thumping, because there are really many beautiful girls. Although it is far inferior to the two around Chunan, they still have at least 80 points, which belongs to the goddess level. So, he was a little moved. Ahem, Chunan, you are so powerful, have you considered recruiting more people? Wang Zihao pretended to be calm. What, do many people chat with you privately? Chunan narrowed his eyes. This, Wang Zihao's heart skipped a beat, and he hurriedly said, you can't blame me, it's Chunan, you are too powerful and popular, so I just sent a message that you and I are old classmates. The private message exploded directly. We are all old classmates. I know you are doing it for my own good, so how can I blame you? Chunan laughed and patted Wang Zihao on the shoulder. I can rest assured that. Wang Zihao ACDE laughed, and then rolled his eyes. Thinking in my heart, this guy is too easy to fool, should I say more good things in chat channel? If you make this guy happy, maybe you can get some benefits. Think here. As soon as his eyes lit up, he immediately started to act. Open chat channel. Wang Zihao. My traits are very rubbish, but he is willing to take me in. To be honest, I am a little touched. After all, in this society, the relationship between classmates is a fart, but my old classmate is too righteous, and he is a good person. He started flattering him hard. Miraculously. Follow his words. Inexplicably, the vicious remarks about Chunan in the original channel were much less. Of course, there are still. But there are obviously more rational people, and these remarks are suppressed. I also sprayed Mr. Chu before, to be honest, I am a little ashamed. Hey, calm down and think about it now, old classmates are nothing more than that, we are all strangers, why should they save us? I don't know who brought up this topic before, Lao Daode kidnapped it. One thing to say, if I were Mr. Chu, even if I had the strength, I wouldn't rashly accept the help of a stranger. What if I was someone with ulterior motive? That's right, the current people's hearts are disgusting. Chunan, I don't know why, there are a lot less bad words about you in the chat channel. Ji Yuying looked suspiciously at Wang Zihao, who was immersed in praising Chunan, and said softly to Chunan. She always felt that something was wrong with Chunan's old classmate. Because the biggest blackie won't blackmail me now. Chunan chuckled lightly. He already knew the truth yesterday. Because of jealousy, Wang Zihao crazily led his rhythm in the chat channel anonymously, and people have a herd mentality. Some people who don't know the truth are deceived and join spontaneously a crusade among his ranks. And now, Wang Zihao changed from black him to blow him. Coupled with the fact that most people calmed down, the remarks towards him were naturally reversed directly. You mean? Su Ruro frowned. Chunan smiled. The show is not over yet. Chunan, what are you talking about? Wang Zihao quit the chat channel, seeing this scene, asked with some suspicion. It's nothing, Chunan shook his head. Sudden roar. A ferocious corpse suddenly jumped out of the alley not far away, directly interrupting Chunan's words. Mutated zombies. Wang Zihao was so frightened that he almost peed his pants and yelled incoherently, Chunan, hurry up. It's coming. Fine. Chunan chuckled. You are new here, just let me see your skills. What? Wang Zihao was stunned for a moment, and suddenly felt something bad in his heart. He subconsciously took 2 steps back, and when he was about to take a 3rd step, he suddenly felt that his body was out of control. Chunan, what do you mean? He said with some horror. I won't play with you anymore, killing you dirty my hands, let's play with it. Chu Nan waved his hand a little bored, and saw that Wang Zihao was like a sharp arrow off the string, rushing towards the ferocious corpse head-on. Ah 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 ah! Roar! The ferocious corpse roared angrily. A paw shot away. Slap! Wang Zihao's screams stopped abruptly, turning into a pile of rotten meat. You really have a bad taste. You actually let him play a role before he died. Ji Yuying rolled her eyes, and then slightly raised her mouth. But I like it, since this disgusting guy dares to blackmail you. I hate this kind of blackhead the most in my life. After saying that, a faint blue light suddenly appeared in his hand. Call. The icy cold wind condensed, blowing her hair slowly. Die. Ji Yuying stretched out her hand, with a cold tone, stretched out her palm and squeezed violently at the violent corpse. In the next second, visible to the naked eye, the violent corpse that was rushing at high speed was instantly frozen from top to bottom. Pa-ta! Like an ice sculpture, it fell heavily to the ground. Then it slid to the front of Chu Nan and others. It's good luck, it's triple damage again, I thought I had to do it again. Ji Yuying said with a light smile. But Chu Nan's face became a little serious. Be careful, there is a big guy coming. Question mark. Ji Yuying and Su Ruro were taken aback when they heard the words, but their expressions immediately turned serious. Bang! Bang! The ground trembled slightly, accompanied by an extreme stench. Indeed, the heavenly family has come. Boom boom. The ground trembled slightly, accompanied by an extreme stench. In the next second, in the sight of Chu Nan and others, a monster about 5 meters tall, covered in blood-red muscles, and looking like a giant tank slowly came out of the shadows. Ji Yuying took a breath, and a strong sense of nausea followed. She frowned slightly, wondering, this is a mutant zombie. Chu Nan opened the Eye of Truth. The text slowly appears. Name, Shish 6340 Regional Variant, 457 people have been swallowed. Threat level, C. Wisdom, medium. Special ability, Mad Eater, devouring human beings to enhance strength. Introduction. The Doomsday world is divided into countless areas. Each area is like a parallel world. This is the Shish 6340 area variant. Killing it can slow down the progress of this area being infected by zombie virus to a certain extent. Isn't the threat level C+ when simulated? Because we met on the second day, so the number of people swallowed has decreased, and the strength has dropped from C+ to C. Do not. Chu Nan shook his head. This is a level stronger than mutant zombies. Speaking of this, he turned his head to look at Ji Yuying. Didn't you say that the mutant zombie is no longer a challenge, it is your new opponent? Although the strength of the mutant has dropped a little, with Ji Yuying's current strength, it is very difficult to defeat the mutant. A little carelessness will directly cool down. But if she wins, Ji Yuying will be more proficient in controlling the energy of ice and flames, and her strength will definitely go further. It's just that the chances are not high. After all, Ji Yuying has only acquired the trait for 2 days now. Then you can watch it. The corner of Ji Yuying's mouth raised slightly. If I win, can you let me be on top next time? Roar. Mutants don't just watch Ji Yuying chatting. After discovering Chu Nan and the others, they immediately grabbed the ground with their limbs, and rushed towards them fiercely like a scarlet storm. Can. Quote. Chu Nan was taken aback for a moment, then smiled helplessly, and then moved back with Su Ruro. He knew that this woman was trying to solve the calendar. Then you'll be honest this time. Ji Yuying chuckled, then raised her hands that had been secretly gathering energy. A huge amount of ice energy quickly condensed, and said coldly, ice wall. The moment the voice fell, a wall several meters thick and made of ice formed between the mutant and everyone. This is another application method of ice energy that she just figured out today. Lucky, it's 3 times more. The corner of Ji Yuying's mouth raised slightly. But she was not finished yet. Boom, there was a heavy impact sound. In the next second, with the sound of click and click, the ice wall was instantly covered with cracks like spider webs. Boom, another crash. The ice wall was directly shattered by the mutant, and then it continued to charge at an unabated speed. It's really hard to deal with. Ji Yuying's heart sank, and at the same time as she stepped back, the ice power in her hands frantically condensed, instantly turning into a giant ice tornado, and there were countless fist-sized ice blades in the wind, rotating at high speed, like a blender generally towards the mutants. Roar! The mutant roared, and the moment it came into contact with the ice tornado, it felt its body stiffen suddenly. Although the body's defense ability is excellent, it still can't stop the frantic cutting of countless ice blades, and dense wounds begin to appear, as if cut by thousands of knives. And the dark and smelly blood was frozen as soon as it gushed out. In an instant, it turned into a dark monster. It stinks even more. Human, dead. The mutant stared with blood-red eyes and hissed. Then, as if entering a berserk mode, he rushed towards Ji Ying without hesitation. Its intelligence is not low. Although it didn't react at first, it can now see that the human woman in front of her is not good at melee combat. As long as she gets close, it can crush the opponent's head with a light pinch. Seeing this, Ji Ying's face suddenly changed. No longer maintaining the storm of weapons, he quickly stretched his hands towards the left side of his body with the palms facing outwards. The scorching breath began to condense rapidly. Boom! It was like an explosion. The red halo spread. Seeing that Ji Ying seemed to be blown away, the whole person rushed towards the right side suddenly, then rolled at a 720 degrees, and fell to the ground in embarrassment with a pop. This is what she researched yesterday. It can barely be regarded as a displacement skill, but it is not well practiced yet, and it is not easy to control. Boom! The mutant stepped on the position where Ji Ying was just now, and made a loud noise. Smoke and dust rose everywhere, and while the ground was covered with spider web-like cracks, it was also deeply sunken. This shows the destructive ability of the mutant. Almost died. Ji Ying stood up, raised her hand to brush back the messy hair on her forehead. Her eyes were boiling with anger. Let me be so embarrassed in front of that guy. Go to hell, ugly. After finishing speaking, he raised his right hand with a slightly grim expression, and instantly grasped it with 5 fingers. The ice ability freezes quickly. Triple damage. In all directions, countless ice blades rushed towards the mutant fiercely like a torrential rain, splashing black and foul-smelling blood. Point 0. It's not over yet. She drank coldly and raised her hand again. The mutant just wanted to take a step, avoiding the icy rain that made it feel a little stinging. But in the next second, it found that the soles of its feet were frozen on the ground by thick ice blocks, and these ice blocks slowly extended upwards as time went by. Roar! Angrily, the mutant raised his left leg violently. The ice cubes shattered. Then, it lifted its right leg and broke free from the comfort of the ice, but its left leg was frozen again during this period. The mutant roared angrily. Dream. Ji Ying felt the weakness coming from all parts of her body and gritted her teeth. It's almost the limit, but she can't let Chunan down. Hold on. It's quite capable. Not far away, Chunan touched his chin and said with some emotion. When he saw the mutant rushing towards Ji Ying just now, he was ready to make a move, but what he didn't expect was that Ji Ying actually used the explosive characteristics of flames to research a displacement skill for herself. Not bad. She can't hold on any longer. Su Ruro looked at Ji Ying, whose face was pale and bleeding from biting her lips, and said with a slight frown. Although she and Ji Ying are not on good terms on weekdays, she doesn't want to die as the other party. Chunan nodded and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I will take action in an emergency." Limit. It's almost time to reach the limit. Ji Ying's hands began to tremble slightly, but she didn't want to give up, so there was not much energy left in her body that was crazily squeezed. Finally, mutant resistance weakened. Ji Ying seized the opportunity and instantly manipulated the ice to spread, freezing her whole body in thick ice. Struggle. Stop. Hu. Ji Ying supported her knees with both hands, panting heavily, looking tired. Next, the last blow. She gritted her teeth, stood upright, then raised her slightly trembling hand, and slowly condensed a sharp ice spear in front of her. At this moment, a crack suddenly appeared in the ice that had frozen the mutant. Ji Ying's complexion changed, and she slammed a stick. In the next second of 140, the ice spear quickly pierced towards the mutant's head. But still slow. Boom. Accompanied by the flying ice cubes, the mutant stared at Ji Ying viciously with red eyes full of murderous intent. Then, when the ice gun was about to hit its head, he raised his hand suddenly, and unexpectedly grabbed the ice gun in his hand, the distance between its eyebrows was only a mere centimeter away the distance. Go to hell, human. The mutant jumped up and stabbed directly at Ji Yuying with the ice spear in his hand. See, Ji Yuying subconsciously took a few steps back, raised her hand, and used the remaining energy in her body to. Snapped. The ice gun exploded into countless tiny ice crystals. How could the mutant have thought that the human woman in front of her would have such a trick? She was directly blasted back to the ground from the air, fell heavily, and the smoke scattered in all directions. Roar. It got up angrily, covered its right eye with its hand, and roared wildly. Continue the same as before, throwing towards Ji Yuying quickly with all 4 feet on the ground. Die, 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 human, to tear this human into pieces. Husband. Ji Yuying had no choice but closed her eyes and yelled. As soon as the words fell, her body softened and she fell to the ground. The expected pain did not come, but a warm embrace instead. This flash is quite useful, Chu Nan said in a playful tone. What did you call me just now? When Ji Yuying and the mutants were fighting on the sidelines just now. He also took the opportunity to absorb the bloody crystal bound with the flash trait. Husband, is it all right? Ji Yuying blushed slightly, and said in a shy tone. This time, you lost. Chu Nan chuckled, but he was not done yet. Roar. The mutant roared, and in the blink of an eye, it was about to rush in front of the two of them. Forget it, get rid of the monster in front of you first, and then talk about how to deal with you tonight. Chu Nan smiled lightly. Die. The mutant had a ferocious face, and it grabbed Chu Nan's face with a wave. It is ugly, and what I can't stand the most is this kind of handsome man who is almost as handsome as the readers. Ha, it's coming towards your face. Chu Nan's expression sank, and his eyes were slightly blue. Moment. The mutant found that it could no longer control itself. It was only 1 meter away, and it was able to scratch and destroy that face. What happened? Humans have the ability to let me go. It was incompetent and furious. Sorry, I'm a mage. Chu Nan smiled faintly, then the muscles all over his body tensed, his eyes turned cold, and he punched out violently. Ultimate power and speed. The mutant didn't even react, and was punched in the face by Chu Nan. Boom. The wind of fists buzzed. The mutant's head disappeared entirely. The telekinetic power was revoked, and the completely dead mutant fell to the ground softly like mud with a plop. All the bones in its whole body were shattered by the punch just now. Mind power is really convenient. Chu Nan looked at the hands that had come into contact with the mutant but were still flawless, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. That's right, he just wrapped his fist with thought power to prevent the disgusting blood from touching his skin and clothes. Husband is so handsome. Ji Yuying flushed with excitement, and hugged Chu Nan's neck tightly. It's useless to praise me. Chu Nan touched his chin, thinking, woman, how do you think I should punish you at night? You can do whatever you want. Ji Yuying's tone was a bit resentful. She has no secrets at all in front of Chu Nan, except there. Shouldn't you? She lowered her head shyly. What are you talking about? Chu Nan glanced at the woman inexplicably, and then said with a smile, it's decided, in order to exercise your ability to control ice and fire, and finally reach the level of micro-manipulation, this time try to condense energy in your mouth. Ji Yuying was stunned for a moment before realizing what Chu Nan meant. She blushed and said angrily, pervert, did you think of this day when you asked me to bind the frost ability? 2 abilities that were originally normal and powerful. How did it get into Chu Nan's mouth? So dirty. How can you defile someone's innocence out of thin air? Chu Nan pretended to cough in embarrassment, then turned to Su Ruro who had just walked over and said, Ruro, give him a recovery. It is good. Su Ruro nodded with a light smile, her hands slightly glowing green. I know how to change the topic. Ji Yuying muttered, but did not continue to ask. After all, as long as Chu Nan likes it, she will not resist it. Moreover, as Chu Nan just said, this can indeed exercise the proficiency in controlling ice and fire. After a while, Ji Yuying felt that her body was slowly recovering, and the feeling of weakness was gradually fading away, but she was still curled up in Chu Nan's arms, like a salted fish. Stop pretending, stand up by yourself. Chu Nan could tell at a glance that this woman was pretending. Ji Yuying curled her lips and stood up straight. At this time, she was taken aback, pointed to the corpse of the mutant on the ground, and said, "The explosion crystallized, but this crystal is so big, is it the same as that Wonkai picked up before? It is a high-concentration blood-colored crystal." "Yes, it is a high-concentration blood-colored crystal, and the amount of experience value that can be increased by 1 is equivalent to a dozen or even dozens of ordinary crystals." Chu Nan waved his hand, and the high-concentration blood-colored crystals gleamed with blood-colored light and slowly floated to his hand. He opened the Eye of Truth, and his expression was slightly startled. High-concentration blood crystal. There is a very small chance to obtain it after killing mutants, and it contains extremely strong energy. The traits bound to this crystal are: Devil's Evil Tattoo, red, exclusive to women. A demon's evil tattoo appears somewhere on the body, slowly accumulating energy on weekdays, and when the energy is full, you can choose to transform into demon during this period. Gain all-round bonuses such as strength, speed, defense, healing, recovery ability. After demonization, the appearance will change. This trait seems like a good fit for Sururo. Chu Nan thought before that he had to find a way to give Sururo a life-saving trait. After all, if he had no fighting ability at all, it would be too easy to be assassinated by the enemy. This trait appeared just right. "What's wrong?" Ji Yuying came over and asked curiously. "Looking at your expression, this high-concentration blood-colored crystal is bound to have a good quality." Chu Nan nodded, and looked at Sururo with a smile. "Ruro, haven't you always wanted a combat-type trait? This trait can make you demonized in battle, gain all-round attribute bonuses, and it is still at the red level, enough to give you the ability to protect yourself. Develop it well, the potential should be good. I think it is very suitable for you." After speaking, he handed the blood crystal to Sururo. Demonization. Sururo was stunned for a moment, blinked her eyes and said, "If I become a demon, it will be ugly, right? Don't dislike me then." The demon appearance that emerged in her mind is a monster with a huge body and scales all over its body. No, it's not like permanently becoming a demon. Chu Nan was a little dumbfounded. "Okay, then I'll use it." Sururo nodded, and then crushed the high-concentration blood-colored crystal in her hand. Immediately, the rich blood-colored energy surrounded her entire body, and it slowly dissipated after a long time. "How about it?" Chu Nan was a little curious. "Can I transform directly?" "No." After Sururo felt it for a while, she shook her head. "The energy is empty, and it needs to be recovered slowly. It can't change now. According to this speed, it will take about a whole day to fully recover the energy." "Is there a way to speed up energy absorption?" Chu Nan asked. "There really are." Sururo blushed slightly, stroked her earlobe hair, and said, "That kind of thing can be sped up." Question mark, question mark, question mark. Chu Nan didn't react at first. When he reacted, his face couldn't help being a little speechless. "Demon, sure it's not a succubus. By the way, there should be a tattoo. Where is your tattoo?" Chu Nan tactfully changed the subject. Sururo blushed even more, touched her belly, and looked at Chu Nan with a puzzled, shy, and annoyed expression. After she bound this trait, she naturally knew where the tattoo appeared. But that kind of pattern is simply too colorful. It seems that only in that special anime. She felt that she would never dare to wear clothes showing her belly button again. Tut tut. As an old CG, Ji Yuying understood it instantly. After squinting at Chu Nan, she said in a strange way, "First it's the nun's clothes, and then it's that demon, plus the punishment I gave at night. Chu Nan, yours hobbies are getting weirder and weirder." "Slander. I didn't know beforehand," Chu Nan said angrily. Of course, even if he knew, he would have to trick Sururo into binding him. After all, this trait is indeed very good, although it is a bit weak, but strong. Yes, strong. Okay, it's getting late, let's go back to the camp. He abruptly changed the subject. Then, he walked towards the RV on his own. And many more. Ji Yuying yelled, seeing Chu Nan turned around with some doubts, pointed to the mutant corpse on the ground and said, "Come back, stand here and let me take a screenshot, I'll post it to chat channel later." "What do you want?" Chu Nan was stunned for a moment, and then said, "Creating momentum." "Well, in order to prevent someone from following your rhythm in the future, the necessary public relations are still needed." Ji Yuying put her hands on her hips and raised her eyebrows slightly. "Ro, Chu Nan pondered for a moment, then nodded. After all, he still has to do business with other human survivors in the future, and building a better image of himself will also help the transaction. As it was getting dark, most people returned to their shelters. If you are idle and bored, you can only chat in the chat channel, which is the only entertainment for most people. At this time, Ji Yuying sent a message. Picture, shocked, there are mutants on top of the mutant zombies. After a day of hard fighting, under the leadership of Mr. Chu, we finally killed them. It's a pity, Mr. Chu's good friend, that old classmate from college, who was unexpectedly attacked by a despicable mutant. After the war, Mr. Chu was very sad. On screen, Chu Nan held a tang saber and stood in front of a huge terrifying corpse with a heavy expression. There were traces of battle everywhere, cracks, frost, flames. Not far away, there is still a lump of bloody rotten meat, but based on those broken steps, it can be deduced that it should be a human being. Hiss. This thing, just looking at the corpse feels a strong sense of oppression. My husband is so handsome. This is the first time that I have photographed my husband's face at such a close distance. AWSL, so handsome. Mutation. Just mutating zombies is very troublesome. There is actually a mutant coming out. Even if you want to get new traits, the traits bound in the blood crystal are also random, and this is too difficult in this Doomsday rite. Husband, can you come and save me? I'm almost out of food, woo woo woo, I'm skilled and pretty, and I'm called a little baby. Hey, he has more than 200 beautiful girls, will he fall in love with you? Tell me your address upstairs, if it is nearby, I will rescue you. Aren't you a fool upstairs? How strong is Mr. Chu? I feel scared even by looking at this monster, but he can kill it. Well, I don't know when I will be as strong as Mr. Chu. The text refreshes quickly, but, to Chu Nan's surprise, few people pay attention to his old classmate. But it's normal to think about it. After all, according to the normal thinking of human beings, after learning that Wang Zihao hugged his thigh, these people should be more or less envious. Seeing that Wang Zihao died now, I'm afraid he's still secretly laughing. Come to yourself. Chu Nan touched his chin. Spoken in chat channel for the first time. Chu Nan, I accidentally obtained a formula of virus antidote today. After using it, it can relieve the infection of zombie virus. Since the materials needed are many and it is difficult to find, the output is very small. The price is 1 bottle of antidote for exchange. 5 blood-colored crystals will be officially put on the store shelves tomorrow, and the quantity is only 10 bottles. If you can't buy them, you can only wait for the next time. As soon as this statement came out, the chat group, which was already very lively, suddenly exploded. Virus antidote, true or false? What you said above, could it be possible that someone like Mr. Chu would still lie to us? But, 5 blood-colored crystals are exchanged for a bottle of antidote, which is a bit expensive. Ha 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 ha, if there is an antidote, are you still afraid of zombies? I don't even have a blood crystal. Actually, I think that as long as a few people cooperate with each other, it is not difficult to kill mutant zombies without injury, but the fact that the explosion rate is true is a bit touching. My teammates and I have killed 11 mutant zombies in the past 2 days, but only one popped out. The upstairs is a real boss. Little big brother, is your team still short of people? My trait is the green level humanoid antibody. After chatting with me, it can prolong the progress of the virus infection. Exclamation mark. Really, my team just lacks a talent like you. Where are you? I'm in XXX. Is the little big brother coming to see me? Wait, why does your name look like a boy's? He's just a boy. There was a mother who wanted to recruit me before, but I didn't agree. I only like Xiaoxuanjun. Opening square bracket comma closing square bracket. Ha 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 ha. In short, Big Brother Chu has given us an idea. Come on. Let's form a team to hunt mutant zombies together. I can see it now, it's too difficult for one person to survive in the Doomsday. That's right, I'm only XXX, and my trait is XX. I want to form a team. My team needs a remote. If you have an idea, you can come to XXX to find me. Opening square bracket comma closing square bracket. After Chu Nan told about the antidote to the virus, everyone in the chat channel is boiling, eager to form a group to hunt mutant zombies together. Zhang Zishan naturally saw it too, and he suddenly felt that exchanging 3 crystals for 1 bottle of antidote was a bloody profit. As for whether to say it or not, he was stupid to say. If Chunan is offended, then wouldn't there be no antidote for the virus in the future? This relationship, it must be maintained well. Zhang Zishan took a deep breath and secretly made up his mind. He decided to hug Chunan's thigh well. When Chunan returned to the camp, it was just getting dark. At night, it is a paradise for zombies. He does not intend to go out. Although his physical fitness is far beyond ordinary people, he still needs to take necessary rest. My lord, you are back. Seeing this, Zhuang Yan and Chang Xin, who were standing guard at the gate, hurried forward and said respectfully. Chunan nodded, looked at the busy people in the camp, and said with a light smile, it's hard work. After he left, Zhuang Yan and Chang Xin were in charge of the affairs of the camp. Although they had a good relationship, they were still former GU. It stands to reason that power should not be distributed like this. But because of the eye of truth, he knew that the two of them were already 100% loyal to him, so naturally there was nothing to worry about. My lord, this is not hard at all. Zhuang Yan shook his head and said, compared to the life in the military camp before, this place is simply heaven. There is no need to worry about the camp being invaded by zombies every day. There is sufficient food and water, as well as water and electricity, and there are even game consoles for entertainment in the lounge. If it weren't for the roar of zombies outside from time to time, she would even feel that she was living before the end of the world. Grown-ups, she hesitated for a moment, and said seriously, next time you go out to hunt zombies, can you take me with you? If I keep living like this, my strength will decline. As a competitive person, what she longed for was to fight zombies without any scruples, and she didn't want to stay in the camp every day. Chunan froze for a moment, then nodded with a smile. Of course he was happy to see that. Zhuang Yan's traits are all defensive. He may have been hesitant to fight because he was afraid of contracting the virus. But now that there is a virus potion, and Su Ruruo's traits can also remove the zombie virus, he also wants to see what kind of strength Zhuang Yan can burst out. After all, afterwards, if he wanted to defeat the Eastern Matrix, he alone would not be enough. Chunan also needs all the girls to grow up as soon as possible. My lord, and me. Chang Xin blinked her eyes and quickly raised her hand. Let's do it in batches. Chunan chuckled. The camp still needs people to stay behind. If Zhuang Yan comes with me tomorrow, you have to stay. If encountering a large-scale zombie attack, relying on Li Beitao alone as an assassin would obviously be a bit reluctant. All right, Chang Xin nodded helplessly. Tat tat tat. At this time, there was a sound of hurried footsteps. My lord, I have successfully researched the instrument. Come and take a look. Wang Han stared at his bloodshot eyes and shouted excitedly. Oh, Chunan was stunned for a moment before he remembered. During the simulation yesterday, it seemed that Wang Han would successfully research the instrument tonight, so he smiled and nodded. Then let's go, take me to see your invention. My lord, please follow me. Wang Han stretched out his hand to signal, with a slightly admired tone. As expected of an adult, even after learning that the instrument was successfully developed, he still remained calm. This kind of kung fu of nourishing qi, I have to learn it hard. The laboratory is located in the basement of the fire station. It was originally a warehouse, but now it has been transformed into Wang Han's laboratory. Various instruments are placed in the fairly spacious space. Grown-ups. After seeing Chunan, several female soldiers who were assigned here to be Wang Han's assistants spoke one after another. Chunan nodded, and then asked, where's the instrument? This way, Your Excellency please. Wang Han brought Chunan to a metal table, pointed to the 2 bracelet-like things on it, and said, My lord, this is the equipment that I researched and can absorb blood crystals. What's the effect? Chunan picked up the 2 bracelets and asked. The appearance is good. Inexplicably there is a feeling of magic equipment in the game. This hasn't been tested on humans yet. Wang Han scratched his head, as if afraid of Chunan's displeasure, and added, Of course, I promise nothing will happen. Then try it. After Chunan finished speaking, he wanted to put the bracelet on his wrist. Grown-ups. Seeing this, Li Beitao at the side hurriedly stopped him, then frowned slightly and said, "It's not that I don't believe in the doctor, but you should leave things like testing to me." She was obviously still afraid of unexpected situations during the test. "It is good." Quote. Chu Nan thought for a while, smiled and handed the bracelet to Li Beidao. Zhao Wang Zhao, although he knows that there will be no problems with the bracelet, he will not discourage the enthusiasm of his subordinates. "Doctor, let's get started." After Li Beidao put on the bracelet, he said calmly to Wang Han, who was beside him. "It is good." Wang Han nodded, took out 2 from the blood-colored crystal storage box on the side, and put them in the grooves of the 2 bracelets respectively. The next second, visible to the naked eye, faint blood mist began to emerge from the bracelet, and it slowly enveloped Li Beidao's entire body. Aha! Li Beidao frowned. "Does it hurt?" Seeing this, Chu Nan asked. "Do not." Li Beidao shook his head with a slightly weird expression. "Rather than saying it hurts, it's better to say it's numb." Lu. Hearing this, Chu Nan nodded and did not continue to ask. After a while, crack, with the sound of crystal shattering, the bloody mist dissipated. "It has been absorbed. How does it feel?" Wang Han asked impatiently. Li Beidao closed his eyes, feeling the power coming from all parts of his body. After a while, he punched violently. "Certainly. It is naturally impossible for the legendary boxing style and strong wind to appear, but seeing the joy on her face, it is obvious that her strength and explosive power have been significantly improved. I don't know too well, but the strength must have been improved." Li Beidao turned to look at Chu Nan, and blinked. "My lord, the research on the instrument has been successful. It seems that the improvement is not very obvious." But Wang Han frowned, and said hastily, "Let's go, test your fist strength, and test everything else. Upstairs there is an equipment room dedicated to exercising strength, endurance, etc. Naturally, there are also machines for testing punching strength and other data." "Well, let's test it out." Chu Nan nodded. "Yes." Li Beidao responded. Immediately, everyone pulled to the equipment room. In front of a machine similar to a boxing game machine, Li Beidao took a deep breath, then fixed his eyes, and threw a punch. Boom, accompanied by a muffled sound. The numbers on the screen in the middle of the machine were still jumping rapidly. "How much was your boxing strength before? How much has it improved?" Wang Han asked impatiently. Increased, about 10%. Li Beidao looked at the numbers, pondered for a moment, and then said. Wang Han was a little dissatisfied, and his originally confident expression became anxious. "Let's go, let's test something else." He originally thought that 2 blood-colored crystals could increase his physical fitness by at least 25%. I didn't expect it to be only 10%. Next, Li Beidao tested his running speed, jumping ability, anti-strike ability and so on one after another. Basically all of them only increased by 8% minus 12%. "Doctor, is it because my talent is not very good?" So, Li Beidao looked at Wang Han's ugly expression, and couldn't help but comfort him. "Do not." Wang Han raised his hand, shook his head and said, "It's just a failure. It has nothing to do with your talent. This instrument can only be regarded as a half-finished product at present." At this point, he was apologetic. Looking at Chu Nan. "Sorry, my lord, I wasted your 2 blood crystals, but please believe me, I will be able to research the perfect instrument soon." Wrong. Quote. Chu Nan had expected this to happen a long time ago, so he was not disappointed at all. He patted Wang Han on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Continue to study, I believe you will be able to manufacture a perfect instrument soon, and this semi-finished instrument is not useless. No, it should be said that I just need this castrated version. At least, it can be used to trade with other survivors. He doesn't need it, but others will definitely treat it as a treasure. After all, for those who are not very talented, this instrument is simply a lifesaver." "My lord means." When Wang Han heard this, his heart moved. He is not a person who only knows about research, he is smart, and naturally understands the meaning of Chu Nan's words. "You're right." Chu Nan smiled. "So, study with peace of mind." "Yes, my lord." Wang Han breathed a sigh of relief, and said quickly. "Wow, just walked out of the underground laboratory." Chu Nan saw Wang Kai galloping over with a high concentration blood crystal in his mouth. Good boy, I'll give you an extra meal today. Chu Nan laughed, picked up the crystal from Wangke's mouth, and patted its head vigorously. When I have a chance, I will find you a female one so that you can break your virginity. I found high concentration blood crystals for 2 consecutive days, and my luck was really overwhelming. Wow, Wang Kai frantically flicked his tail happily. High concentration blood-colored crystal. After killing the mutant, there is a very small chance to get, it contains extremely strong energy. The characteristics bound to this crystal are, bed warming gold, your bed warming skills are unparalleled. After others sleep in your warm bed, the speed of energy recovery will increase by 200%, and you will gain a full day on the next day. The buff, strength plus 20%, stamina plus 20%, speed plus 20%. Chu Nan blinked, with a slightly weird expression. This trait, how should I put it, ACDD, can be called the ultimate trait, but it doesn't help me at all. No, it should be said that there are also negative effects, because you must warm the bed every day, otherwise this trait is no different from waste. What's wrong? This expression. Seeing this, Ji Yuying beside her couldn't help asking curiously, could it be another super quality? Well, Chu Nan touched his chin, and looked at Su Ruro regretfully. Quote? Su Ruro was stunned for a moment, and said, why this look? Could it be that this quality is more suitable for me than the one just now? What? Chu Nan pretended to sigh. Quote? Don't be like this, I think it's good to be demonized, although, a bit erotic. Su Ruro said with a slightly red face, as the saying goes, if I get what I get, I lose my life. I'm already very satisfied. Tell me quickly, what kind of trait is this? Don't hold your breath. Ji Yuying pouted and said, it's a golden trait. Chu Nan snickered in his heart, but on the surface he looked serious, so he successfully attracted the attention of Ji Yuying and Su Ruro. The name of the trait is warming bed. He told the two of the effects of the trait in detail. Spit. Ji Yuying and Su Ruro blushed and glared at Chu Nan. They also realized that Chu Nan was teasing them, but, suddenly they seemed to bind this trait, because in this way, they could justifiably sleep with Chu Nan every day. Pity. Each person can only bind up to 3 traits. Their traits are full. Brush. At this moment, Lingo suddenly changed from Tang Dao form to human form, staring at the bloody crystal in Chu Nan's hand with piercing eyes. Big brother, use it for me. She looked eager. I want to help Big brother better. No, Ji Yuying and Su Ruro spoke quickly. But they knew that the little girl Lin Po was young, but her thoughts were deeper than theirs in some respects. 2 sisters, don't you want to make Big brother stronger? He suffers so much every day, wouldn't it be great if he could recover his energy while sleeping? Ringo tilted his head and asked with a doubtful face. Ji Yuying and Su Ruro were speechless for a moment. Indeed, this trait helped Chu Nan a lot. Thinking of this, they looked at each other, sighed softly and said, what you said makes sense, but I can't refute it. X2. The other side. After thinking about it, Chu Nan still gave the crystal to Lingo. Because he found that Ringo seems to be the most suitable candidate for binding this trait. As for leaving this trait idle, he didn't think about it that way, because he wouldn't give up any chance to improve his strength. It was getting dark. In the wasteland-like city in front of him, the roar of zombies could be heard faintly. But Chu Nan's base is like a small city. Compared with the outside world, except for the dilapidated facilities, it is basically no different from a modern city. After a day of construction, the farmland in the rear has been completely reclaimed, and all the seeds have been planted, and even under the influence of various characteristics, small, tender shoots have already appeared. Bai Shaoshan with a stable personality has completed the task very well. Other aspects. The laboratory is progressing smoothly. Under the leadership of Wang Han, the research and development of an instrument that can perfectly absorb blood crystals has begun. The spirit of the garrison is also very good, and they are working hard in training in their spare time. Well, everything is in order and on track. In the office. My lord, the supplies have been counted. Sun Kiki took a document and came to Chu Nan's side. In addition to making virus antidote, her current job is also responsible for some secretarial work. Let me see. Chu Nan picked up the file and looked at it. In terms of food, canned food occupies a very large proportion, which is what Chu Nan pays special attention to when collecting materials. After all, canned food has a very long shelf life. Others, such as rice and puffed food, are slightly less in quantity, but it can also support the needs of the camp for more than a month. In terms of water resources, there is no shortage of drinking water, and there are various beverages. If there is a shortage of water at that time, the female soldier named Wang Xin can still use Pray for Rain, and you can drink it directly after distilling it. The reserves of other daily necessities are also okay. Just enough to meet the needs of camp life. However, if you want to increase the number of people in the camp, this material is not enough. Because Chu Nan does not intend to strictly limit everyone's supplies like other survivor camps, although this can greatly solve the consumption of supplies and support more people. But it also puts the camp in a state of mental depression. The time is short, but over time, there will definitely be problems. That's how it was in the women's camp before. Although nothing can be seen on the surface, Chu Nan knows through the eye of truth that most of the female soldiers have more or less psychological problems. So, he decided that the base will take the elite route in the future, and the number of people does not need to be too large, but it must be ensured that everyone lives a normal life. Surviving in the apocalypse is already very difficult, and he doesn't want any of his subordinates to be overwhelmed with suicide. Our Lady, no, it's just take what you need. He made his subordinates live well, and the subordinates would naturally die for him. This is also the information he learned through the eye of truth. In terms of groceries, is there anything missing? Chu Nan touched his chin and asked. Sun Kiki can be regarded as the grassroots. He can't see many problems, but Sun Kiki must know about them. What? Sun Kiki was a little puzzled. No, I have everything you need. At this point, she looked at Chu Nan's expression, pursed her lips and said, My lord, life here is already very good. I don't know how much better it was than in the camp. Everyone is very happy. I know you want everyone to live the same as before the Doomsday broke out, but no need for that. We are really satisfied, really very satisfied. At the end, her eyeballs were a little red. Oh, don't do that. Chu Nan had a headache. If Ji Yuying and the others come over later, they will think I'm forcing you to do something. Poochie. Sun Kiki couldn't help covering her mouth and smiling, squinting her eyes. If my lord is willing, No, everyone is actually a little impatient. This is yourself, being molested. Chu Nan waved his hand. Okay, let's go down. Don't do anything else. Sun Kiki was a little disappointed. I guarantee that no one will come to the office within 10 minutes. What should I do? Chu Nan was angry. 10 minutes, who are you looking down on? My lord, I'm leaving. Sun Kiki stuck out her tongue playfully, and left with the documents in her arms. Quote. Chu Nan touched his nose. This is inexplicable, it seems to have a wave of goodwill. He can clearly see that Sun Kiki's attitude towards him has changed from admiration to admiration. It can be said that as long as he wants to, he can unlock all postures immediately. Although it is only a camp of more than 200 people. But the workload is still quite a lot. After all the problems were dealt with, it was completely dark outside. Stretched, Chu Nan returned to his room. Not surprisingly, the little girl Lin Po was lying under the quilt with her head exposed, looking at him with blinking eyes, and she didn't know if her face was flushed because of the heat. Big brother, it's warmed up and you can go to bed. She yelled cutely. Well, Xiao Linpo is suffering, you should go back to sleep soon. Chu Nan chuckled lightly. Ringo's eyes widened, a little puzzled. Shouldn't I sleep with big brother? Although warm bed is a trait, you only need to warm the bed, but do you actually rush back to your room in the middle of the night? She thought she could sleep with Chu Nan all the time in the future. No punishment. Chu Nan flatly refused, saying, You have grown up, you can't sleep with me. I'm obviously only 12 years old. Ringo retorted, It's just a child. I'll be 13 in a few days. Chu Nan said casually. How did big brother? How did he know my birthday? Ringo froze for a moment, with a surprised expression on his face. When I went to the orphanage, I asked the dean specifically. Well, don't hold back, go back quickly. As soon as Chu Nan said that, he lifted the quilt directly, but he put the quilt back on in the next second, rubbed his temples with some headaches and said, I'll give you a minute, I'll wait for you outside. After all, he quickly left the room. After waiting for a full 5 minutes, Lingo finally came out with a reluctant expression on his face. In the future. You must get dressed. Chu Nan glared at Lingo, then went back to the room. Ling Po looked at the side that was closed tightly, and muttered with pouting, obviously it warms up faster like this. Was the liver shy just now? She stayed at the door for a while, and after realizing that Chu Nan would not open the door, she returned to her room with a look of unwillingness. Humph. When I grow up, I don't believe that Big Brother will still be like this. Lie down in the warm quilt. Chu Nan suddenly felt refreshed, and the feeling of fatigue began to dissipate quickly, and the 200% energy recovery speed was taking effect. Next, let's start today's simulation. He secretly turned on the simulator. Simulation starts. Familiar text appeared in front of my eyes. Day 3. After you woke up, you took Ji Yuying and others to the core of the virus. You did not rush to attack the core of the virus, but went underground and found the sleeping advanced mutant. You behead it directly, it is dying instantly, you rely on telekinetic power to restrain its movements, and then kill it with one blow. You start attacking the core of the virus. You wiped out the core of the virus, and the area has been purified. Day 4. You drove to the next area with Ji Yuying and others. You found Qin Zan and reached a 213 partnership with her. The content of the simulation is basically the same as what Chu Nan expected in advance. Right now, after sneak attacking the advanced mutant, he can already easily kill it. Even if it is an advanced mutant in its prime, it is not difficult for him to solve it, but since there is an easier way, why not use it? Day 6. You return to the camp of the fire station and find that the place has been captured, and there are corpses everywhere in the camp. You sense something is wrong. At this moment, Wang Xuan appears. He said he was passing by and found this by accident. After the area was purified, a few humans were caught and finally forced to ask you for news. He has been waiting for you here all day. You and Wang Xuan started a duel, and you, who were furious, with the cooperation of Ji Yuying and others, killed him 9 times in a row, and it died. You are distraught. ? Chu Nan was taken aback for a moment, and then his face suddenly turned ugly. Will Wang Xuan pass by here in the past 2 days? According to the simulated information, he passed by on the 4th day. To be honest, if it is one-on-one, he can already suppress Wang Xuan now, and with the help of Ji Yuying and others, he can completely kill him without injury. So, this time, take the opportunity to destroy it. But Qin Zan couldn't go there for the time being, he didn't want his house to be stolen as soon as he left. Fortunately, there is a simulator, otherwise I will definitely regret it for the rest of my life. Chu Nan rejoiced secretly. Although he only got together for a short day, he understood how much these female soldiers depended on and respected him. Since he saved them, he would have to take responsibility in the future. He can't control the other survivors, but as long as he is still alive, none of the people under his command can die. Opening square bracket, closing square bracket. Day 20. The blood moon is coming, and the zombies are rioting. You encounter a group of human survivors. They recognize you and ask you for help. You save them, but they actually want to kidnap you morally. The momentum crushed them. At this time, you noticed a strong person approaching. It turned out that Dongfang came to your door, and she offered to attract you. You refused, you and her started to fight. With the help of Qin Zan, Ji Yuying and others, you barely supported. She said that she admired you very much and was willing to give you another chance, but you still chose to refuse. She noticed that you have an unusual relationship with these women around you, and she became jealous. She killed Qin Zan and others, and then took you away. You can't resist. You spent an indescribable night. Day 21. You want to escape, but you are discovered by Dongfang. You feel that you have been squeezed dry. Day 22. You feel very tired. Day 23. Tired. Opening square bracket, closing square bracket. Day 90. You realize that you can't escape, and you can't improve your strength. You choose to commit suicide and you die. Chu Nan rubbed his temples with some headaches. Yesterday, during his simulation, he chose to completely avoid Wang Xuan and Dongfang, and he didn't even kill the core of the virus, but after the blood moon came, Wang Xuan still appeared, and he was still with Dongfang. Aware of his existence, the advanced mutant in this area notified Wang Xuan and Dong Feng. Then, there's no after that, everyone died, and he became a male favorite. So this time, he decided to take the initiative to attack, but what he didn't expect was that the ending was still like this. Is it because of the rapid increase in strength? It made the advanced mutants in this area feel dangerous. But there is no other way, you can't suppress yourself, right? So, you can only face up to the difficulties. I need to improve my strength as soon as possible. The coming of the blood moon is a key point. Before the coming of the blood moon, I must obtain the strength comparable to that of the East. Chu Nan rubbed his chin, thinking to himself. Click. At this time, the door was opened. Chu Nan came back to his senses, turned his head to look, and saw Su Ruro walking in with a reddish face, wearing a nun's attire. What's wrong? Before he could react, he asked subconsciously. You forgot. Su Ruro lifted the hair on her earlobe, and said with erratic eyes, my demonization needs to replenish energy, it's too slow to recover by myself, if I go out tomorrow, it will definitely be too late, so. Quote. Ah, that's right. Chu Nan chuckled lightly, with a playful expression on his face, but you haven't recovered yet, have you? Su Ruruo's physique is still normal, but he doesn't have such abnormal recovery ability. The way is not important. Su Ruro snorted lightly, and said, I've done some research recently. Nong Xiao. Speaking of this, she remembered the strange smell that she met Ji Yu Ying outside the office before. She didn't think there was anything at first, but now she recalled last night, she understood it. Then I have some expectations. Chu Nan frowned. What he likes most is this kind of person who can learn by himself. The next day, early morning, Chu Nan woke up from his sleep. He turned his head and found that Su Ruro was sitting beside him, curiously touching the tattoo on his stomach. Awake, let's go out and hunt to kill zombies, she said enthusiastically. Can it be demonized? Chu Nan asked. Yesterday he fell asleep in a daze uncomfortably. Well, it can already be demonized, but the duration is only 12 hours at most, and it will continue to be consumed during the battle. The specifics need to be tested in actual combat. Su Ruro nodded and said. It may be that she feels that she can finally fight the enemy side by side with Chu Nan, so she is very emotional now. Then let's go. While getting dressed, Chu Nan said, let's go after breakfast, today, but there will be a fierce battle. For advanced mutants, he is still looking forward to it. Of course, what he was looking forward to the most was the high concentration blood crystals he obtained after killing the advanced mutants. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.